Film set, someone shouted. They're starting soon. Time for the extras to get into place. The guy thought, every time he gets nervous like the first time, the people behind him were looking at something. And they asked if it was supposed to be like this. Then the guy raised his head. But at that moment, debris flew at him. He always played the roles of only nameless extras. People were in a panic. The guy opened his eyes, but he immediately closed it, and the guy thought that he still wanted to become an actor in his next life. Meanwhile, in the apartment, the baby's mom and dad were calling him, and the baby was laughing happily at them. The baby is 7 months old, and his name is Sam. Mom, Haley, clutched her heart and said, "Their baby is too cute, Min." Sam's dad nodded vigorously in agreement. The baby began to fall asleep, and the parents wished him sweet dreams. But a completely different person woke up. Somehow he was reborn many times, but did not lose the memories of his past lives. And at some point there were so many of them that a library of life appeared, in which his memories and skills are stored, which took the form of books, but the doors can only be opened with a suitable body, if you try to absorb the skills. Those that are not suitable for the body, it will simply die, so there is nothing to be done. You will have to look for what it can handle. The library was created when he was reborn as a slime. In another body, he would have found something suitable long ago. Unfortunately, human babies grow too slowly, and our main character was not happy about this. Suddenly, the hero saw a small door, and inside there was a book. It seemed like he was seeing something like this for the first time. He took it and read it. He has always played only nameless extras, but he still wants to become an actor in his next life. The hero remembered his first life, whether there was at least one of them with the same dream, for which he would try with all his might. Hardly. Great. He will fulfill this dream, become an actor? No. He will become a superstar. But what needs to be done for this? He began to practice elven breathing from the moment consciousness appeared. Elven breath, harmonization of the body, which makes it shine. Mommy asked what their cutie eats when mommy doesn't see, to become so beautiful. As long as he could only open the door that led to the slime's memories, he was just a little slime. But one day, when he was looking for food near the dragon's lair, he fell under its sleepy mouth and died. And 3 days later, he was reborn. Slime can dissolve anything with acid, release tentacles, and change its shape. A book about a fairy? The hero remembered how he was a mischievous flower fairy. Her beauty would be useful to him now. The baby found digestion of mucus, can digest anything. Excess nutrients accumulate for the needs of the body. And the fairy wand, which attracts the attention of those who see the fairies. Some of the viewers may begin to copy its movements. Later, baby Sam was playing with a toy, and one of the mothers said, "It seems that Sam eats very well." "But her cherry hasn't eaten anything yet today," Haley said, and the hospital said it was normal. As he ages, his diet normalizes, and the girl asks how much more handsome he will become when he grows up. Sam got hungry and started crying. The other children picked up on this and started crying too, and the mothers became worried, and they chaotically took out their mixtures from the bags. Sam felt a little ashamed for the chaos he had caused. But if he hadn't cried, they wouldn't have given him anything to eat. The other kids ate poorly. Only Sam ate his formula. The mothers were worried that their babies weren't eating, so Haley took Sam and walked away. Sam thought it was too noisy. He hadn't tried using it yet, so he didn't know if it would work. He used the fairy wand. It glowed, which attracted the attention of the children. Only the children saw it. Now they want to copy his movements. Sam started drinking his mixture. Then the children also started eating. The mothers were happy that their children had started eating. They said that apparently the children were repeating after Sam. With this kind of success, he would soon beat the adults too. Then one mother asked Haley if she would listen to her request. "Can she send her a recording of Sammy eating?" the other mom said. She was joking. But Mom said, "She knows. But Cherry is smaller than her peers because she eats little." The doctor said to feed her more often. Mom started crying. Haley calmed her down, saying, "No, it's just that Sam is growing a little faster. That's how it seems." Cherry wanted to cry, but Sam thought, no need to cry over trifles. He used his shimmer. Then the children surrounded him, even too close. Sam quickly wished for his decision. Later, Haley told Min that the children imitated Sam and also ate their fill. Min responded, "How interesting." Haley said the moms even decided that Sam could become a star. Sammy found a toy that reminded him of himself from a past life, and he got angry. He started to beat the dragon toy and scream. Min asked if it wouldn't be better to calm him down. Haley replied, "No need to worry. He is a very kind child. He was knocked down today, but he didn't fight with anyone and behaved calmly. Dad got nervous. He shouted, they knocked him down." Haley said, "Not in a bad way. Sam is so popular that he is surrounded from all sides." Min said what a relief. He asked if Sam was happy. Sam was waving his arms happily. He was glad he had gotten revenge on the dragon that killed him, Haley said. She recorded him eating the mixture. She asked to help her film how Sammy would eat porridge. Sam was placed at the table, and Dad started filming him. Mom fed him, and Sammy thought, he needs to use the fairy power, he needs to shake his hand. It may be strange, but he never raised his hands while eating. Well, there is no choice. Sam raised his arms and used his powers. Haley asked if he liked it or what. Haley asked if he liked it. The baby laughed, and Min said that Mommy is very pleased when Sam eats so well. Then Haley sent this video to her friends. After some time, a friend wrote that Cherry ate everything that she gave her. 2 weeks later, Cherry's mom thanked Haley and said they were praised at the hospital. Other mothers also said that their children began to eat better even without seeing them, and even became more confident. The kids were happy because their mothers were laughing, and Sam thought it must be working through video. If abilities like the fairy wand can work even on recordings, then becoming a superstar will be much easier. Later, one mom asked if Haley would like to upload a video of Sam to the internet. She sometimes makes videos herself, mostly vlogs about her daughter, but without thinking, she told about it in the last video. When Millie started eating better, Haley replied that everything was fine. She didn't say anything about Sam. Because of this, everyone in the comments asks for advice on how to train children to eat better, said the mother. She didn't say anything about Sam, and for now, she just recommended the brand and recipes that my daughter liked. But if suddenly she doesn't mind, we can upload a video with Sam and help other mothers, Haley answered uncertainly. I understand. She wondered if it would be okay to make Sam recognizable. If he spoke, then she could at least ask. Haley said she would talk to her husband about it first. Her friend said, okay, no need to rush. At that time, Min was at work and looking at a photograph of his son, wondering if Sammy was growing up too fast. A family friend and colleague, Hank, approached him and asked if this was the toy he had given him, right? Min answered tiredly, yes. Hank said he didn't think Sam would like those toys, and although Sammy really liked them, Haley was not happy. She yelled at her friend, who would even think of giving such a thing to a child. Hank told Min that his son had a unique perspective on things. Min replied that it was not for him to say, it was his favorite toy now. Min started to review his son's video. Hank asked why he was raising his hands up. Min hesitantly answered because he was happy. Hank thought, never having seen children happy to eat before, and asked, maybe he likes the camera, that's why he stretches his hands. Min asked if Sammy was born to be an actor. In the evening, Min returned home and read the text that Hank wrote to him. He is the king of skeletons, the king of the undead Edmund, but Min thought he couldn't bring himself to read it anymore. But as soon as he put the text down, Sammy grabbed it and looked at his father with shining eyes. Then Min gave up and started reading the text again, and Sammy listened to him happily. Haley called Min, and she said that their son tells him to put more emotion into the text. Min replied that it seems that their son likes it. Haley said he always liked playing with Hank. Sammy grumbled, and Min asked if Sammy wanted him to stop talking to his mom and continue. Okay, and at the end of the game, the undead king lost because Sammy is so strong. Haley said what an amazing son he was, and Sammy was glad he was able to defeat the undead king and thought he was cool. Then Haley said that she thought about uploading videos of him to the internet. But what if he gets upset when he grows up? Min said, it's just a video with a child. By the time he starts to understand something, people will have already forgotten about everything. Moreover, it seems to him that Sammy enjoys being in front of the lens, Min said, recalling the conversation with Hank. Haley asked if he thought so. Min replied that usually Sammy just eats, but in front of the camera he starts waving his hands. Sammy thought he was raising his hands to use the fairy wand. Haley asked if it was really because of the camera. Min said, Sammy himself was just indignant when he played badly, Haley asked, and Min was surprised why. These are his words, Min replied. He said it without thinking. Their son is truly amazing. How did Sammy even know he wasn't trying, Haley replied. He shouldn't be able to understand what he was being told yet. Sammy thought he understood everything. Min asked if their son was a genius. Haley replied, it sounds plausible. Min asked if he should be allowed to become an actor then. Haley said that wasn't what they were talking about. He doesn't mind her uploading a video of him to the internet. Min replied that he was all for it. She said that Cherry had never eaten normally before. If it helps other kids, then why not? My friend wrote that I need to add the name in Korean and English. Min asked why not just Sam. Haley named the channel Sam and uploaded the video. Soon a bunch of kids started eating while watching Sam's videos, and the moms could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Sammy lay in his crib and thought. After being reborn, he lost almost all his memories and skills. Besides the two, he didn't forget the basic elf breathing technique and the basic genie breathing technique. He took out the pacifier and began to use the basic elven breathing technique, the presence of light energy improving the flow of mana, and harmonizes the user's body. Conflicts with dark breathing techniques. Both types of breathing are useful for any living beings. Since he knew about the effect from birth, he chose one of them and uses it constantly. Min asked his son, Was he already awake? But Sammy closed his eyes, thinking, the most convenient thing in these two techniques is stability. If for some reason it needs to be interrupted, this can be done instantly and without consequences. This helped him a lot when he was in the body of a weak monster and couldn't relax for a minute. Haley asked if Sammy was awake yet. Min replied yes, and asked why there were so many notifications. Even Sammy says it's too noisy, Haley replied. Then she'll just turn them off. It seems that this is written by those who watched the video with Sam. Sammy was wondering if he was hungry, whether to cry or not. A friend asks me to go to a vlog on YouTube. She says there is something crazy there, Sammy thought. He heard about this site. He is not an expert, but he has heard that even an ordinary person can become popular with his help. The channel already had 1 million subscribers. A friend called and Haley asked how this happened. The friend replied, "Amazing, now they are stars." No, Sammy is a star now. And Sammy thought he was so hungry he could eat a horse. Min asked for the phone and Haley handed it over. Min said hello. His friend told them to turn on monetization. Min asked if they could connect it already. She replied that everything was fine. What was important to them was the viewing time and the number of subscribers, and Sammy's channel had already met these conditions. As soon as the parents saw the number of subscribers, Sammy couldn't take it anymore and started crying loudly. Then Min said that he needed to be fed, still in shock from the number of subscribers. Min asked what happened while he was cooking. Sammy patiently waited for his mixture. Haley said she did everything. It says that ads will appear in the videos when they are approved. Min asked what people were writing, and Sammy noticed that there were messages not only in Korean. Haley knew English and said that basically they say that their children didn't eat before and their video helped. It seems like a lot of babies start eating right away when they watch Sammy's video. But Sammy was uncomfortable and waved his dad away. Min received a notification, and he asked, even he gets a bunch of messages. It was Hank. He asked, is this by any chance the video that Min showed him? Haley said that Sammy was already being written about on the internet. Min asked what happened in just one night. The boys started reading articles. Haley said it only works up to 20 months. Sammy thought it must be because of the low wand level. To use any ability, you need a certain amount of mana. There are still many imitation skills in the Library of Life. Much higher level than fairy wands, but its maximum is blue door. So most skills are unavailable. It will be too difficult for the baby to use them. He can't even hold a bottle on his own. Min caught the bottle and said to his son, he could have told Dad if he had finished it. Sammy mumbled and Min said, yes, that's right. Haley asked what he wanted from Sammy. He was 8 months old. Min replied that Sammy understood everything because he was a genius. Then, Haley said that all parents say that about their children. But Min insisted that Sammy was a genius. Meanwhile, Hani, the head of the Elephant Series planning department, received a message telling her that Lala's channel, which had caused their product to sell better, had posted a video saying that babies were eating better not because of the formula, but because of the baby mukbang. Honey thought that their line of blends had recently been recommended, which had increased sales. And as a result, all the goods, both in stores and sent to other countries, were sold out. They couldn't cope with the flow of orders. So Honey increased production. Now they have a mountain of inventory. So Honey was worried that she would get fired. These days, it has become popular to use TV stars to advertise things. So they wanted to ask the mother and daughter to participate in promoting the product. Honey watched Sammy's video. The baby is really cute. But how could you create such a fuss in 2 10-minute videos? Then she made up her mind, and wrote to the manager that she would contact Sammy's parents. And silently, she asked Sammy to help her. Otaku came and gave a toy. Min asked if it was a normal toy. Hank answered of course, by the way, when he was watching a video with Sam. Saw a 2-headed troll behind the chair. I think it was the baby food version. Hearing this, Min got angry and started checking everything himself. Hank took Sammy, but he didn't look at him. Then Hank said, the kid was so upset because he brought an ordinary toy. Sam waved his hand. Otaku replied, he didn't think that Sam would be deceived so easily. Did he really underestimate him that much? If you open this lightning, you can get the dark double. Now Sammy paid attention to him. Sammy was impressed. A bear with a secret compartment. Uncle really is amazing, Sammy thought. Hank said it would be their little secret, and Sammy hugged the bear in agreement. The mothers were discussing advertising for baby formula, and one said that they needed to weed out those that had a bad reputation among mothers. Sam has an image to maintain, Haley said. She didn't say she was going to be in the commercial, but my friend was told that this was his finest time. He needed to earn more money for the future. Haley said Sammy likes the Elephant series. They tried a lot of the stuff that was suggested on the forums, but he liked this one the best. The girls said that their children also liked the formula. Then their friend asked if she could try it too. She trusts more because Sammy liked it. The girls said the advertising is already working. Haley asked if she could then contact the manufacturer Elephant. The girls said yes, but first let her ask Sammy's dad. Later, Haley asked Min what he thought, and he immediately said that he thought it was a great idea. The next day, Dad was late, and little Sammy was already falling asleep when suddenly the door opened. Drunk Min came into the apartment and said he had a contract. Haley said it was high time for Sammy to go to bed. Min tried to kiss Sammy, but he reeked of alcohol, so Sammy turned away in displeasure. Then Min washed himself and sat down at the table, saying that filming Sammy eating would take about 30 minutes, and they may ask you to come again if additional shots are needed. And until the next filming. They'll take a break to let Sammy digest everything, Haley asked, and they'll definitely get it done in 30 minutes. Min replied, they said that it would be a video in the format of a clip, so it's okay, they'll edit it. And they will add subtitles. First they will try to show it on different sites, and it will come out on TV later. Somewhere around 3 months later, Haley asked what the lawyer said. Min answered, said that there were no pitfalls in the contract. Haley asked if they would do it then. Min nodded, and then Sammy nodded too. The guys laughed, and Min said Sammy liked the idea too, so they would try. Then Haley took out the paint, and Min asked why she needed it. Haley replied that it was an advertisement for Sammy, so he had to sign the contract. Then Min said, we need to take a photo. He took out his phone and took a photo of his wife and son. And Sammy was thinking about which ability to choose. He had been digging for a long time but did not find anything useful. He needed to find a skill that would make adults buy things, and he finally found something. The day of filming arrived. The guys were met by Honey. She introduced herself and said that she would show them the studio. Haley said it looks just like their living room. Honey said yes. They tried to recreate everything. She led them to the waiting room so they could rest. Min thanked her, and Honey suggested that they walk around the studio to look around. Min said he didn't think they would be so well prepared. Haley said there are such cute toys here. I wonder if Sammy will like them, Haley asked. But Sammy silently replied that his uncle's toy was much better. He hoped that everything would go according to plan, because he had not used this skill before. His head seemed heavy to him, so he lay down. In a parallel world, children ran up to an old man and asked him to tell a story about a warrior. The old man began to tell that it happened when he was a little younger than them. Under a tree in the nearby forest, he found a small chest. The chest looked beautiful, so he took it to the village. The people in the village were also enchanted by the beauty of the chest. But it was not a simple chest, it was a monster, a mimic, but no one knew about it. People just started calling him Mimik, and even considered him part of the village. Everyone liked the monster. Sometimes it took the form of a beautiful chest, which he was very eager to open. It was a lot of fun to play with and share food with it. But a few years later, a wounded warrior came to the village and asked the villagers for help. The warrior told the residents that a high-level demon was hiding nearby and that they needed to deal with him. The residents immediately offered their help. Suddenly the warrior noticed Mimika and shouted where the mimic came from. The boy shouted, "Don't attack, he's harmless." But the warrior shouted, "This is a dangerous monster that appears deep in the dungeons." But the warrior did not convince the boy. He said that the mimic was just a little mischievous. Suddenly the mimic himself galloped towards the warrior. The warrior thought what was going on. Why was he so handsome? He reached out his hand to the chest, and he kept thinking that it was possible to be inside such a lovely chest. He wanted to open it. He needed to do it. Then the mimic licked the warrior, and he realized that he was enchanted in a second. Who would have thought that he would cause such temptation? The warrior suggested distracting the demon with a mimic and killing him. The old man continued his story. Of course, all the villagers loved the mimic, so they were against the plan, but the mimic himself insisted. After sunset, the warrior lured out the hiding demon, who saw the chest and said that these bugs had prepared a gift for him. Great. He will try to kill them without unnecessary pain. This is the first time he sees such a chest. What is inside? As soon as the demon took the chest in his hands, the mimic bit him, and the warrior pierced him with his sword. The demon got angry and shouted, "So it was a trap! How dare the mimic!" The warrior put all his strength and finished off the demon with one blow. However, the poor mimic died. The warrior and the villagers made this fountain as a symbol of gratitude. The children burst into tears, and the old man said that he was sure that God had allowed the mimic to be reborn. Maybe he's charming people right now. The one who can charm a warrior, a demon, anyone. The filming started, and Sammy thought he was ready to charm everyone, the cameraman said. Start recording. People asked if this was the same baby Mokpan. He looks normal. The only strange thing is that he doesn't cry. They wrote it all down, and the director said they were moving on to the next scene. Min thought about it, and Haley asked what was going on. Min said Sammy didn't raise his hands this time. Maybe because he was holding the bottles with both of them. Sammy thought he had simply found a new skill. The number of skills that could be used at the same time in a child's body was very limited. So he returned the wand to the library, and took with it the coveted package of the little mimic. Limitation: the item must be close in size to the user, Sammy can't really use this skill when he becomes an adult. And because of such a strong limitation, it does not require much mana. Before filming, the director said, they will record the second scene. As the baby holds the can of formula and smiles, Haley said it's unlikely he'll get it right on the first try. The director replied that they don't expect anything supernatural from the baby. He's still little. Filming has already begun. Sammy thought what a relief. If they hadn't inserted such a scene themselves, he would have had to cry to get the can. An item has been selected for the desired packaging of a small mimic. The target is parents with children of his age. Director Damien asked Sammy to look at the camera and smile, and Sammy did so. The commercial ended up taking only 20 minutes to film, and the director told his parents that Sam was definitely a genius. This child was born to be an actor. He doesn't understand anything yet, but he can act instinctively. He's not saying he needs to appear on TV right now, but it would be nice if they thought about it in the future. Min said, okay, they understood. The director said, fate, beauty, instincts. This child has an innate talent for acting. Although he himself is still a newbie, they can call at any time if they need help. Then Honey said, Sammy did a great job. They prepared the mixture as a gift. They thanked their parents and said goodbye to Sammy. The girl said that now she would definitely buy this mixture for her nephew. USA, Los Angeles. A father was feeding his son, turning on a video with Sammy. Suddenly an advertisement appeared before the video. And in this advertisement, Sammy himself appeared. The advertisement for the mixture was already playing in full swing before the video. Jack's parents immediately recognized Sammy in the video, and the girls said that they must have invited him to appear in the film. When the video ended, the parents immediately went online to buy the formula, but it was already sold out. At Sammy's house, Grandma said their Sammy looks so good on camera. Haley said the whole studio praised him. He didn't even cry once, and they were able to finish faster. Haley asked her mom to put the phone down. She looks at her forehead. Sammy saw his grandmother and waved to her. The grandmother lit up with happiness and also said hello to Sammy. Then my grandmother asked if they would show this advertisement on TV. She doesn't know how to use the internet. Haley asked. Chuck didn't explain to her. His nephew starred in an advertisement, and he didn't even show it. Mom replied, he knows about the new job. Haley asked. He found a job. That's great. And what he does? Some kind of celebrity agency, Mom replied. Sammy thought. Uncle Chuck, he looks tough. Together with Mom, they look like Beauty and the Beast, Mom said. Coco went. I think he said that he was the director. Haley said she was hearing it for the first time. Then she said goodbye to her mother and thought about something. She put Sammy down and told him that Mommy would be busy. Let him play with the toy for a while. Sammy thought that Mommy usually doesn't want to give him the undead king. Haley screamed, what a rascal. Mom is so worried about where he is hanging out since he found a job. That means he doesn't have to visit Mom. She called her brother and he answered, hello, this is the director of Coco Ent. Haley got angry and asked, Chuck. Chuck asked, is it him? And who is he talking to? Sammy thought, it's his uncle. Why didn't he recognize his mother? Haley said, what a bastard. Then she yelled, Chuck didn't even save her number. Then Chuck asked, sister, did she change her number? Haley shouted, it was 3 years ago. Chuck asked why she didn't tell him. Haley said she was told that Chuck stopped showing up at home. Chuck replied that he was busy with work. Haley said that Mom is very worried. Let him find time and visit her, and he could at least come to her sometimes. And let him save her number, Chuck said. Okay, hide him in Sammy. And hung up. Haley asked, why is his uncle like that? He hung up so quickly. Well, at least he found a job, that's good news, Haley asked. Later, Haley was reading the letters. Min asked what was there. Another advertising offer. Haley replied, they are inviting Sammy to the internet broadcast. I haven't read the details, but it becomes interesting when they send so many letters. This one is from Coco Ent. They started reading the letter. At the end of the letter was Chuck's number and his name. Min said his name was like her brother. But Haley wasn't happy at all. She was furious and screaming at him how he couldn't recognize his own nephew. She called him and Chuck answered. Says Director Chuck of Coco Entertainment. Haley said she was calling about the letter they sent her about the show. Min whispered, quieter than Sammy. They would get in trouble if they interfered with her. Sammy thought, no, Dad, Uncle is in danger, Chuck, not suspecting anything, asked. So she is Sammy's mother. Then Sammy realized clearly her uncle didn't even save her number. Haley laughed evilly and asked if it would be nice to meet in person. Chuck could do it. Chuck cheerfully replied, yes, anytime convenient. Then Haley said, okay, let him come to his sister's house. But Chuck didn't understand anything. He thought there was a residential complex with that name. Then Haley shouted. The idiot immediately came to his sister's house. At least he should have recognized his nephew. Only then did Chuck realize that he was talking to his sister. Chuck asked confusedly, but how so? Haley shouted. She told him to save the number. How could he not recognize his nephew? They had only seen each other a month ago. Chuck became sad. The staff overheard the conversation and said, "So Sammy is the director's nephew. They are not at all similar." Chuck finished talking to his sister and said he needed to leave to go see his sister. He came to his sister's house and brought a present for Sammy. Haley asked, decided to bribe her. "Let him show the phone," Haley ordered. Chuck quickly showed it and said he saved her number. Then Haley let him in. Min said hello to Chuck, and Chuck asked how Min was doing. They sat down at the table, and Chuck said who knew that Sammy would become so popular since their last meeting. Haley asked, "So what, is this a reason not to recognize your own nephew?" Chuck said. "All children look alike." Then Haley said that he shouldn't stay late at work today and go home. Chuck wanted to say something, and Haley looked at him with displeasure. Chuck explained that he couldn't. The company was new. There weren't many workers. They had only started 3 weeks ago. His job is to quickly debut a new idol group before they appear on a music show in a month. So he will be too busy preparing and won't be able to arrive early before the show. Haley asked, and after that, Chuck replied, the group could face failure. Then yes, the atmosphere became worse. And Haley asked if he should really say that. And Chuck replied that he was trying really hard to make sure they didn't fail. Haley said, "But Chuck will be even busier if they become successful," Chuck replied. "Probably." Then Haley asked, "Okay, he'll figure it out himself. He had dinner," Chuck said. "Yes," Haley said, then let him drink coffee before leaving. The storm passed. Min began to feed Sammy and said that his uncle brought him some treats, and Sammy already had 2 teeth. Sammy liked the treats, and Min asked, by the way, what kind of entertainment show Chuck wanted to put on. Chuck replied that, in fact, his band is not very popular. To be honest, they don't have any fans at all. And they can appear on a music show only because someone is being replaced. He wanted to make them recognizable. Haley asked if he wanted to use Sammy's popularity. Chuck replied, "The word use is too much." Then Haley asked, "What then? Is it really like that?" Chuck sadly answered, "Well, yes, she's right." Haley recalled how difficult it was for Chuck before he could find a job. But now he is in high spirits. If something goes wrong this time, she'd like to help, but that's not the same as a short commercial. But then Min said, he allows it, even Sammy doesn't mind. Sammy was really glad that he could appear on the show at such an age. However, Haley wasn't so sure, she said. But then he would be recognized more often, Min replied. Everything is fine. They are always busy with work. This is their only opportunity to film him all day. It would become a happy memory for their family. While the two were sharing a romantic moment, Chuck stood aside and reminded them that he was still here. At the dorm, Kevin said the ads have become so popular that many people are going crazy because all the merchandise has sold out. Kevin was the rapper for the group, and he said there must be something about the commercial that he doesn't understand because his parents like it so much. Seth, the band's lead vocalist, said that filming was in 3 days, and if they had time to take a break, they could read this. Tim said he falls asleep just looking at a book. He was the second vocalist of the band, but Seth said that it was almost all pictures, just right for his level. Let him read it so that he could retell it. Tim said yes, sir. Then Steve, the group's lead dancer, asked what he should do. Seth replied, "Let him go buy a toy for the child. The boy is 8 months old." Steve asked how much he could spend, and Seth answered, "As much as needed." Steve was happy, thinking, he will buy something for himself. Then Seth said, "Let him remember. If Sammy doesn't like the toy he brings, Steve will be banned from using electronics." Steve asked fearfully how long. Seth replied he didn't know, maybe forever. The future of the whole group depended on it. The day of the shoot, Chuck called the guys and asked if they were ready. Seth said yes. Just a second. Chuck said, "Then let them get up, and let them not forget that the cameras are already rolling." The guys came in and greeted the parents. They introduced themselves as the group Brown and Black. Min asked Brown and Black. Chuck replied, "Yes, you can call him Bubble for short, or BB is also good." Then Min replied, "Okay, it's customary to introduce ourselves. He's Sammy's dad, his name is Min," Chuck said. "And this is his sister." Haley nodded. The guys thought it was the one who screamed. Seth and Kevin said hello and introduced themselves. And these two thought, the director's sister is so beautiful. Then they also introduced themselves. Chuck introduced another person, the sister of the person in charge of PR in their company, a pediatrician, Dr. Hara. Haley asked why they needed a pediatrician for the shoot. Chuck replied, "It's just that for the next 48 hours, Sammy will be filmed surrounded by strangers. So you need a doctor on hand so you don't have to worry." Haley praised her brother, saying she didn't think he would think things through so well. Chuck honestly admitted that Seth had suggested it, and Min asked if Mr. Seth wanted to support Sammy. As the group's representative, Seth picked him up and Sammy thought, how interesting, a new person. But it was just awkward. Sammy cried a little. Then Min told Seth that Sammy was so awkward and showed him how it should be done. Seth hugged Sammy close and Sammy thought, yeah, that's better. He was in a good mood, so he was glowing with happiness. Sammy started laughing loudly, then the guys got scared and started shouting chaotically what to do. The baby screamed, "What to do?" Haley said. "They're going crazy." Sammy just laughed. And Chuck said it was good that they installed the camera in advance. The doctor said she was also filming since she came. Chuck said there might be some good extra footage, "Thank you very much," and asked if he could take a look. The doctor answered, "Of course." But as soon as she saw his creepy smile, she froze in fear. Chuck realized that he had scared her and turned away. This often happens to him. The doctor awkwardly apologized. Sammy was still laughing, so Seth asked the doctor if Sammy wouldn't stop laughing. Was it safe? Kevin is half American, so he asked in English if there was something wrong with him. Didn't he laugh too much? Tim told him they don't understand him. Let him speak Korean. Steve asked if they could play with toys. Chuck told the boys he was laughing because they were funny. And so it was. Sammy thought how funny. He had never seen such funny people. Later, Chuck asked. It was only 10 minutes. The guys weren't tired, the guys thought. It was only 10 minutes. Haley said they prepared something that could help them, Min added. All the information about Sammy. His journal, Haley said, contains games that Sammy likes to play, as well as his favorite toys. Then Haley remembered that she had hidden all the toys that Hank had given her in the car, and she said that they don't have many toys. She decided that it would be better not to show those monsters on the show. Tim said they brought the toys themselves, Haley replied. Really? How wonderful. But Sammy thought he didn't need ordinary toys. The only survivor among the toys, a teddy bear. Min said that Sammy eats at the same time every day, so it's better for them to start feeding him before he starts crying. Sam thought he would definitely cry if they were even a second late. Haley said it was feeding time. Who wants to try it? Tim shouted. He will prepare the mixture, Steve added. He will help. He had a thermometer. While the two started cooking with Haley, Min offered the boys to hug the baby. This time Kevin took Sammy. The mixture was ready, but Kevin had already managed to turn into a chair. It seemed his legs were numb. Kevin was given a bottle, and Haley said it was time to try feeding him. Kevin held the bottle out to Sammy with trembling hands. Sammy started eating. The guys looked at him in fascination and said that he wasn't even thinking about stopping. While the boys were admiring the cuteness, Seth turned around and asked Sammy's mom what they should do after this. But Sammy's parents were no longer in the apartment. Steve asked what happened. Seth replied that his parents were missing. Chuck shouted to the guys, 48 hours from VV, and Sammy begins. The guys were not ready for this. Yesterday morning, Min asked if their Sammy had such a simple life. Haley asked if he even knew how difficult it was to come up with new games. Lately, he hasn't had much fun when he plays with her. Sammy thought he'd been found out, and it really was boring. Min said that there will be a lot of new people here soon. He should like them, since they are idols. They can sing. Haley replied that Chuck must have said that they had been trainees for a long time, so they could sing, dance, and do everything else well. But they are missing something, Min said. This will change after their debut, when they gain new experience. Sammy thought he wanted to help his uncle so that his mother wouldn't worry about what the group was missing. He started digging through the skill library and found one that helps with music. The orchestra conductor's connection. Tim picked up a toy microphone and said, "He's Tim, the show conductor." Sammy was clapping his hands vigorously, and Tim said that he seemed to be having fun already, and the guys also clapped in support. Tim continued, "The main guest of today's program is a cute little guy. Sammy, born on March 10th, he is now 8 months old, has 2 bottom teeth and loves to play," Seth said. Tim asked, "Only 8 months old? He is so small. Now we need to introduce their group." Seth took the microphone and said, "His name is Seth. He is the leader of their group and the main vocalist." But Seth stopped and thought that the child would understand what he was telling him, so he began to explain. The lead vocalist is the one who sings the best. But Sammy didn't understand anything. He didn't know those words. Seth said, "It seems like Sammy doesn't understand this yet." The guys laughed and Kevin shouted, "Sammy didn't understand him at all." Then Tim said, "I need to explain in simple words. His name is Tim, the second singer in the group. And this is Kevin. He came from Los Angeles, and he is the rapper of their group. Next comes that one. Who can beat anyone in dancing? His name is Steve." Steve asked to show. Chuck said no need. Sammy wanted to see them dance, but Chuck was against it. He thought if they broke something, his sister would break it. Suddenly the phone rang, and Seth said it was bedtime. He would go get a blanket. Steve said, "Okay." Kevin carefully laid Sammy down on the bed and told him that they would sleep for a while and wake up quickly, Sammy thought. Now he grabbed Kevin and used the skill, the orchestra conductor's connection. It works. Kevin was surprised, and Sammy thought he just wanted to grab his face, but accidentally hit him. But Kevin said he definitely liked him, so Tim yelled that he wanted Sammy to hit him too. Then Sammy also used the skill, the orchestral conductor's connection, on Steve and Seth. Tim said now they will determine who Sammy loves more. He is in first place. Kevin said Sammy hit him first. Tim replied he has a red mark. He put more love in. Kevin started screaming, no, he's completely gone, he can't see him. Steve was happy with third place, but Seth was very upset with last place, so he said, it doesn't matter, it's just a first impression. The real rating will be determined on the last day. The boys picked up on the idea and started discussing who would go first, when Chuck noticed that Sammy had fallen asleep. Then the guys turned their attention to him. Steve said, it seems like he had a good time. He's still smiling. Sammy thought the conductor's connection showed the level of connection with those the skill was used on. The level of connection between all connected, both indicators are high. Their musical talent will grow very quickly. The center of everything is music, a place where beautiful music never ends, a world of musical spirits. Born from the tree of spirits, among many other instruments, came the orchestral baton. A girl came up to the guy and said hello to him. The guy was the spirit of the conductor's baton. The spirit of the conductor's baton greeted the spirit of the clarinet. She asked if he had been practicing since the morning. The guy replied, yes, there will be a music competition in a few days. The girl asked if they would finally see his skills. All musical souls get 1 or 2 skills. But behind the smile there was a secret. The guy never revealed what abilities he had. Orchestral conductor link. Creatures linked to the user can improve their musical skills tenfold, depending on the strength of the link. The condition of use is to touch with your hand the one on whom you want to use the skill. He could follow the fate of the conductor, which he received after birth from the fetus. Start building connections with other instruments, and become the best orchestra in history. If only he hadn't been a demon king in his past life, there would be no way that a spirit-born would have any memories of living as a demon king. But the boy thought that the world that begins and ends with music, so beautiful and boring, could not be tolerated any longer. The violence and heartlessness of his past life still affected his present, the day of the music competition. The former demon greeted the drum spirit and used his skill on it. The drum spirit didn't notice anything and greeted him. The spirit of the piano said, although they are on different teams, she wishes him luck, the former demon replied, looking forward to a great performance. The music competition is an important performance for newly born spirits, where music is used as an offering to the spirit tree. An event where only the best performance should be heard. But what happens if instead of growth, the connection starts to fall? The demon used the skill activation, and suddenly the drum spirit skills began to drop sharply. His music started sounding terrible. People started asking who even let him on stage with such skills. What's going on? Who would have thought that the first group would make such mistakes? How strange. They said that the spirit of the drum was quite talented. Maybe his drum broke. The spirit of the drum thought, no, that's not it. He looked at the demon and realized that something was wrong with him. A strong sense of contempt affects the connection with the skill's targets. Dark intentions that the spirits have not experienced before. They have a strong influence on communication. The spirits said how strange it is. All groups make a lot of mistakes. Ah, there is still the group of the spirit of the conductor's baton. They will definitely be able to show a good performance. The spirit of the wand told the violin that it might be a little inexperienced, but it shouldn't lose confidence. The violin thanked him. The demon used his skills to the maximum. The demon thought he would show contempt for this boring world. The connection with the target began to fall. The spirits began to feel terrible pressure and could not concentrate. A deep anger that cannot be tolerated. The source is somewhere nearby, the violin thought. She quickly realized that this malice came from the spirit of the conductor's baton. The tree began to suffer from the performance. The spirits screamed that the performance had to be stopped immediately. The demon was delighted with the terrible performance. The demon thought he enjoyed the performance. It was time to interrupt it. He stopped. The spirits could not continue without the conductor. The tree began to die. The spirits shouted, we must grab the conductor. The demon laughed with delight, he thought. He had been waiting for so long for this world to change. Suddenly a melody began to sound. The spirits asked what kind of sound it was. The conductor stopped. It was a violin. She used her basic skills, which allowed her to perform simple compositions and not make mistakes under any conditions. The demon got angry and shouted, no, stop! But the violin continued to play its beautiful melody. Thanks to the desperate play of the violin spirit, which did not give up until the very end, the spiritual tree was able to survive. The culprit of it all, the worst traitor in history, the conductor became the first to be sentenced to death since the creation of the world. The terrible past that he so wanted to forget. Sammy cried, and wondered why he dreamed about it again and again. Sammy was very surprised when he found the book. The connections of the orchestral conductor? It was powerful. That she almost destroyed the entire world. She received a dark attribute and had to disappear. It seemed like the spiritual tree had gathered all its strength to protect her, even though the level had dropped to the lowest. And it almost died because of him. Sammy apologized to the tree and said that he was very sorry. Out of shame, Sammy began to cry loudly and stamp his feet, asking himself why he did such a thing. What an idiot he was. The guys came up and asked what was wrong with him, why he was crying. Kevin picked Sammy up and asked him what was wrong. He was hungry? Sammy thought no. He was just sad. And ashamed of his past actions, Steve shouted, "Seth, faster!" Seth replied, "Yes, he's on his way." Seth made some porridge and told Sammy it was time to eat. Sammy thought, "Oh my god, he doesn't want to." But Sammy chewed it anyway and thought how delicious it was. Kevin said he ate so well he was definitely hungry. Sammy thought, "I see, he had a nightmare because he was hungry." After eating, Sammy started laughing. In the evening, the doctor got dressed and told the guys to call if there was anything urgent. Seth thanked the doctor for his help. Then he said that all that was left was to put Sammy to bed. And Sammy was wondering what to do. It was so much fun that he couldn't fall asleep. The boys surrounded Sammy and Seth said Sammy should have been asleep 30 minutes ago. Tim added, "Not a wink of sleep." Then maybe they could try it now. It wasn't for nothing that they practiced for 3 days. The guys supported the idea and Seth said, "Then start, 1, 2. And they began to sing Sammy a lullaby. The orchestra conductor's communication skill was activated, and the boys themselves noticed that they began to sing much better. Then the boys suggested singing their song, which would be suitable for a lullaby. And Sammy thought, he can't activate the skill at will. The connection between them is the foundation of growth. Their singing must be consistent. So he thought it would take a few months. Surprisingly, they were able to meet the conditions on the first try. Meanwhile, Chuck was filming the guys and thinking, this is it. They've got it. He's heard this song hundreds of times. But for the first time she is so cheerful, joyful, happy. You can clearly understand what feelings these guys want to convey. They filled the gap he had felt all this time. What had changed since last time? In the end, the guys sang the entire album, so they were very tired. But Sammy immediately passed out, although they were making noise. Perhaps the joy they felt was transmitted to Sammy, and from now on they had to make music that would convey their thoughts, the boys decided. The guy sneezed and said he was crazy to keep the window open for 40 minutes in such cold weather. But they sang so beautifully. But they probably won't sing anymore. They sounded like professionals. Who could it be? In the morning, Sammy and Steve were playing together. Sammy was happy when he put the cube on top. Steve said, "Amazing." Sammy put it on the very top. Steve suggested adding another cube to the tower. Sammy is such a genius. But then Tim came up and asked why it was so crooked. "He'll fix it up so it looks cool, okay?" Tim asked Sammy. Tim moved the cube. But Sammy didn't like it at all. Steve said, "No." Sammy tried so hard. Sammy started scolding Tim and he apologized. "It's lunchtime." Tim took the microphone again and said, "It's time for Sammy's special meal. They will prepare a delicious treat from whatever the baby chooses. Just for reference, they will try everything first." Tim asked Sammy what he thought was delicious. Sammy thought and pointed to one plate. "So, the first ingredient is beef," Steve said. "Meat? Great choice," Tim said. "And now it's time for the next product. Egg yolk, then spinach, mushrooms and cauliflower." Sammy happily pointed out the ingredients. Seth asked Sammy if it was too much. He wasn't going to mix it all up. But Sammy wasn't listening to him. If you mix all the colors, you get black, and the kids weren't very happy with the result. The boys still ate the hodgepodge they had prepared. And Sammy ate what his mother had prepared in advance. In the afternoon, the boys went for a walk. Seth asked how nice it would be to go for a walk after a delicious lunch. They wrapped Sammy up so tightly that he couldn't move. But the boys admired the cute view. Kevin was playing with the hat and said how cute, Sammy the rabbit. And Sammy thought they got the hat right. He felt a little uncomfortable, but he agreed to be patient, Seth said. And now the Brown and Black Street concert will begin. The boys started singing and dancing and were able to activate the skill again. Sammy thought that this skill usually doesn't activate so often. And they do it almost effortlessly. Chuck watched them and thought, it was not an accident. If this continues, the group will become famous. The guys finished singing. And Chuck asked, they said that they would sing 2 more songs. Seth replied, "Too tired, hardly," and asked how they were able to sing the whole album yesterday. Sammy helped Manoj when he was around, but today it is much more difficult for them because they can only rely on their own endurance, and Sammy himself wanted to come over, but he couldn't move. Chuck said they needed to sign them up for the gym, so they could get a little pumped up before the concert. The guys shouted, "Concert!" Chuck answered, "Yes. If they continue to sing so well, he thinks they will perform this year." Suddenly that guy from yesterday came up to the guys and said hello. Chuck thought they had come to complain about them. Chuck apologized, but the guy replied he didn't come to complain. "Can they tell me the name of that song?" "That's what they sang last night," the guy asked. Chuck was amazed, and the guy said the song was great, but he couldn't find it on the internet. Then Chuck got excited and said, "Yes, that was them singing. The song is called Start." Then he called the guys to introduce themselves. The guys were surprised and shyly greeted the guy. They introduced themselves, and the guy said, "They sing so well." Seth thanked the guy sheepishly, and the guy said that now he saw that they were not far behind in dancing either. Then why couldn't he find their song, the guy asked. Chuck replied, they haven't debuted yet. And now they were just recording a children's show. He could watch it later if he had a free minute. The guy saw little Sammy and the doctor and thought, there's a child here. It would be better not to delay them. He handed over a piece of paper and asked if he could ask for something, but the boys didn't immediately understand what he was asking for. And Chuck explained that he was asking for an autograph. The guys were shocked. And the guy added that if they didn't mind, he would wait for their debut. The guy thanked them for the autograph and said that he would definitely buy their album when it came out. The guys thanked him. When the guy left, the guys started talking. My heart was beating so fast, they gave an autograph for the first time. The doctor started filming the boys' reactions, Sammy thought. Today is a good day. They should smile. The boys were praised for the first time and they couldn't hold back their tears. They said they had practiced so much, but were still afraid that nothing would work out. Now they will try even harder. Even the doctor shed tears when she saw the children's reaction. Sammy noticed that everyone started crying and thought that if everyone started crying, he would start crying too. It's time to say goodbye to Sammy. It was hard at first. Who would have thought that 2 days would fly by so quickly? Kevin asked if the dorm would be so lonely now. Tim replied, yes, for sure. Steve said it was hard to break up. They had become very close. Seth suggested ending things on a beautiful note. He turned off the light and Sammy wondered why they turned off the light. He wanted to look at the tree some more. It was too dark. Sammy was screaming in displeasure. Seth took his hand and said, let's do it together. They counted to 3, then turned on the garland, and the kids congratulated Sammy on Christmas. And they promised to meet him again. At that moment, the parents came. Sammy was very happy to see them. Min saw the tree and gifts and said, they decorated the tree here. Min said, she thought that trainees don't have the opportunity to buy such things. Suddenly, Min noticed the letter and said, apparently they left the letter for Sammy. He needs to read it. Hi, Sammy. This is Brown and Black. They leave this letter for Sammy before they leave, honestly. At first, they saw the show as a simple opportunity to make their faces recognizable, but now they feel like they have become a real family and really don't want to leave. Thanks for the bright smile. Even for such clumsy guys like them, Sammy, they wish happiness. They will see each other soon and play again. Let him grow big and strong, and let him look forward to his birthday present. They hope these couple of days have become a happy memory for Sammy, Haley said. They wrote it from the heart. Min said their Sammy is amazing. What did he do while Daddy wasn't around? Now he's jealous. Sammy thought, he still loves Daddy more, and suddenly Sammy said the word, Daddy. It was his first word. His parents froze in shock. Then Haley said, Mom, let him try to say. Sammy immediately said, Mom, Sammy, who is only 8 months old, said Mom and Dad for the first time. Before the opening of the Library of Life, he remembered all of his previous reincarnations. So many considered him a strange monster. And in the packs they called him a heretic because dark and light energies were mixed in him. How exhausting it is. He can't live a single normal life when he has almost ceased to understand who he really is. With all his powers, a library of life was created, and all the memories of past lives became books. Now they feel like stories he once read, and they don't have the same impact on his next reincarnations. But they can still affect his personality when his monsters are taken away from him during filming. Childish instincts took over. He forgot about these strange toys. Now it's clear to him. They have had a strong influence on changing his personality and growing his ego as he forgives the dragon. But now he is troubled by another thought. Oh, who remembers his previous lives? And he is a carefree child, wondering which of them is real. A month after filming the show, the guys were in a panic. Chuck told them to pull themselves together. But he thought it was a serious problem. They lost confidence, because they made a lot of mistakes during rehearsals. Then Chuck called the savior and called the guys. The boys ran to the phone and said hello, and Sammy's parents also said hello to them. And Sammy thought that it was with them. Their level of communication had dropped, and it had taken so much time. The guys asked Sammy what they should do. They could handle it, Sammy thought. He didn't even doubt it. But the others were very worried, so they weren't so sure. So Sammy raised his hands and laughed cheerfully. Sammy wanted to tell them that everything would be fine. Let them try their best. Min laughed and said, I think he wanted to tell them to try their best. Haley added, right. They trained for so long for this day, Chuck told them not to doubt themselves. Or they've already forgotten that they had to rewrite the entire performance because their skills have improved. The guys thought, yes, that's right. Even a child who doesn't understand anything yet supports them and asks them to try. They have no time to relax. The connection has increased sharply, and the guys thanked Sammy for his support. Then the guys were told to go up on stage, the excitement of a group of newcomers performing on a big stage for the first time. It was completely pushed out. The host said that today a group of amazing newcomers, Brown and Black, will debut with them with the song Start. The guys took to the stage with a stunning debut that exceeded all expectations and hopes. Sammy thought they were like his past self, so he didn't want them to face the same hopelessness. When Sammy sees these shining faces, the past him wants to become a superstar more and more. And that same guy was tearing everyone apart with his comments. He said that no one believed him a month ago, no matter how much he tried to explain. Everyone just joked and insulted. But who's laughing now, he said. He said that this is not advertising, the guy's fan shouted. A couple of days later, Haley returned and Min asked, "They were going for a walk. Why did they come back?" Haley said that she was able to go for a walk near the house, and Sammy was even recognized there. She was so surprised that she immediately returned home. Sammy thought popularity was cool, Min said. The show went viral on the internet. They were trending on the day of their debut. Haley admitted that she was a little nervous watching the video, since they took all the monster toys away for the duration of filming. Maybe that was why he hadn't touched the bear for the entire 2 days. She felt sorry that they had spit on Sammy's unique taste, and they tried to fit him into other people's standards. She doesn't want the baby to become too fixated on the opinions of others. Sammy called his mommy. Haley hugged the baby tightly and said, "Mommy was guarding his toys. Sammy doesn't have to worry. It's good that they sorted this out before it became too popular. I doubt anyone will be surprised." If he showed her from the start that he liked unusual things, Min said, sure, she could relax. They are leaving anyway. In the evening, the guys came to Sammy and found out that they were leaving for America. Min said that he was being transferred to another department. Steve asked why they were saying such a thing at the debut party. The boys became sad, and Haley said that they would be there for 2 or 3 years and then return. Namely, in Los Angeles. Kevin lit up after hearing this. He said that his sister lives there. If they need to find out or ask something, then let them call her. Even if they're just bored, Haley asked, and he can definitely give out her number. Kevin replied, "No problem. She is very popular and loves meeting new people. He will warn her, so no need to worry." Haley thanked him and shared that she chewed it a little because she didn't know anyone there. 4 years had passed since moving to America. Haley called Sam because they had a guest. Kevin's sister Nara came. Sammy ran up to her, and she asked if Sammy had forgotten that they were going to the shoot today. Sammy got ready and went out. There he met Eric and said hello to him. Eric also said hello to Sammy. Eric asked what he had there, a new backpack. Sammy happily answered, "Yes, there is a zombie today." Then Eric said, "Cool, we'll have to talk to Hank about this. His son might want one too." Nara said Mr. Hank's toys are getting more and more popular. Haley said they're so good he even quit. But Nara objected. She said that she thought it was because of the popularity of their channel that the Sammy family started vlogging about America after moving. It is becoming more and more popular. When Hank's monsters first appeared on video, many people thought they were weird. But more and more people started to wonder where to buy them. And as a result, Hank quit to make money selling toys and things, Nara said. It would be strange not to succeed after such advertising. Last Halloween her neighbors sold out, and she thinks Sammy has a charm that draws people in. But Sammy didn't use any skills on the toys, and the reason they sell out so quickly is because his uncle made them. Haley asked, "Sammy has never acted in anything like this." "There will definitely be no problems," Nara calmly answered. "There is no need to worry." But this did not calm Haley down. She screamed, as if Nara had told her 3 days before filming. Nara called in the evening and asked if Sammy wanted to star in the film. Sammy immediately answered yes. Haley was shocked. She asked. She didn't hear right, but Nara replied, "She will send the script." Then Haley said, "No, what's this sudden news?" Nara asked. "Didn't she say so?" Their last meeting, they watched a documentary about filming. Sammy was completely captivated. So Nara asked if Sammy wanted to become an actor. Sammy immediately nodded and said yes. So she showed their video and ad to the director of childcare, and he suggested that she audition. "Drying out, filming, footage of the best kids will end up in the film," Haley asked. "Then he might not be there." Nara said it would be a good experience anyway. What did Sammy think? Sammy quickly replied that he wanted to. At the end, Nara told me that the film would be from Marine Studios, so Haley was nervous. She thought she would bounce back from the pressure that had fallen on her shoulders. Nara replied that it was a minor role with short filming. "There's nothing to worry about here." Marine Studios is known for its live-action adaptations of superhero comics. It is famous for its high quality of performance and is one of the top 3 studios in the world. And their most popular film is Redbone. The guys arrived and were met by Jonathan. He is a local worker. He said hello and asked if they were there for an audition. Nara replied, "Yes, it's Sammy," Jonathan said. "Understood. He will take them to the waiting room." The audition had already started. There was another kid there. Sammy was impressed. Jonathan asked to wait for them in the tent. When suddenly a child's cry was heard, Jonathan became sad and said that they could change their clothes here and come out when their name was called. Someone called Jonathan loudly and he ran away. Haley asked if all film sets were so hectic. Nara replied that it was a common occurrence. However, she felt that this was a different case. Haley asked if it was a child crying on the playground. Nara replied that it was probably because the scenario was too scary for him. Sammy excitedly asked Nara if they were filming Redbone here. Nara replied no. It was the same studio, but the film was different. Then Sammy grumbled in displeasure. Haley was glad that Sammy wasn't scared by the babies crying. Nara said she would tell a secret. The second part of Redbone was postponed. An incident happened. Because of this, they are planning to release 2 other films, and that is why the filming schedule is so tight. Sammy was wondering what kind of films they would be making when someone asked if they could come in. Nara gave permission and 2 actors entered the tent. Melissa, playing the role of William's mother, and the assistant, Baron. Sammy stood up and bowed, introduced himself. He said that he would play the child. Melissa said she heard he was the youngest of the kids' cast, but he was the best. They came to him to make friends with Sammy before filming began. The Baron added that the problem was that other children immediately became frightened and started crying. The scene that scared all the children, breaking news, space invaders, created mysterious wormholes. As soon as the mother heard the news, she immediately ran out into the garden where her child was playing. He smiled and hugged the bear tighter when he heard his mother just at that moment. A frightening wormhole appears right behind him, and his mother screams in despair. The child smiles even wider, and then disappears, leaving behind only a shoe. In general, it's not just about acting skills. Everyone reacts more or less the same. First, a strange woman yells at you, and then some guy grabs you from behind. Haley said they seemed really tired of repeating the same scene. Melissa said they just needed to act. But the film crew has a hard time, Melissa asked. Sammy read the script, Sammy answered. Mom read it. Then Melissa asked if Sammy even understood how William felt. Sammy thought about it and said, William should be happy. The guys thought he was happy because he was being abducted by aliens. Melissa asked why Sammy thought so. Sammy replied that he didn't understand anything and was just glad that his mother called him. Someone said behind Sammy, interesting thought. Sammy turned around and saw a huge man. And of course, Sammy wasn't scared. But on the contrary, he was happy, the director said. He's a brave boy. He wasn't scared. While Ryan, the director, greeted Sammy, Sammy confidently extended his hand and said, his name is Sammy, a child actor. The director said no matter how serious or scary the environment is, William, like Sammy said, should not understand it. So let him not forget to smile, Sammy replied. Well, actually, Sammy prepared a secret weapon. Sammy changed his clothes. The girl said he hardly needed makeup. It was a bit chilly today. But the clothes are thick and lined. It will be just right. The actors went to get ready and Sammy waved to them. Haley asked. Nara went to call. What Sammy would do, Sammy answered. Meditate. Sammy took out the toy that Hank made. Haley said, he's just going to sleep. But Sammy insisted. He said he would meditate. Haley started reading a book to him. And Sammy used the summer bear hibernation skill. Activating the skill helps you fall asleep in any conditions for 30 minutes. This skill is triggered by smiling. You need to be careful. Sammy used the illusion skill of the laughing mushroom. Laughing mushroom, in one of his previous lives, Sammy was an unusual mushroom that could use magic. An expensive and tasty mushroom. So many tried to find it. But as soon as they entered its territory, he protected himself with illusion magic, which made everyone feel sorry for him, and he tried to use this power at home. But the effect was too strong, so Sammy stopped turning it on. You have to be careful and not smile before filming. Sammy was watching TV. The actor was saying that they need to clearly understand their character. The question seems difficult, but only at first glance. You have to understand how the character was built and developed to the point they are at. But there are some characters whose history is difficult to show. We are talking about secondary characters. Actors have to fill in the unsaid parts of their story. Sammy was so fascinated that he moved closer and closer to the TV. Then Min picked him up and said that he shouldn't sit so close to the screen. And the actor said that it was possible. All the little details were hidden in the script. You would have to analyze every detail, develop it, and understand it. Back on set, it was Sammy's turn. Haley wished him luck. Sammy nodded calmly. Haley was worried. She thought the others were saying everything would be okay. But she was worried. Sammy had such a strange look on her face. But Sammy just didn't want to smile before filming. Jonathan brought Sammy to the director and said, Sammy is ready. The director asked him to try during filming. Sammy activated the skill. The door where Melissa would come out, and the area around the director's seat would even affect some of the staff. Unlike mushrooms, humans only have one face. The difference in effect will depend on the range of vision. The director told Sammy he would play with the toy here, and then raise his head when Melissa called. Sammy replied, yes, he knew, and thought no matter how limited the area of influence, everyone would look at his face. The director was pleased with Sammy's confidence. Filming began, and Sammy remembered that actor, and thought he could do it. There are hints, a toy bear, mom, and a smile. He loves the toy that Dad gave him for his birthday. He is 4 years old. His name is William. Breakfast was very tasty, and for a snack they will give cookies. He loves cookies. Mom ran into the room and loudly called William. The boy got up. More than sweets, more than anything in the world. William loves his mommy. Sammy activated the skill. The actors and staff were under the effect. They all became incredibly sad. But Melissa thought it was even better this way. After all, her dear child disappears into the wormhole. Sammy was dragged away by the Baron, and the mother continued to call for her son. She tried to run and save her son, but it was too late. Soon her son disappeared into a strange wormhole. William felt cold. He couldn't see anything because of the darkness. He kept thinking where he was, where he had ended up. Suddenly the director shouted, "Cut!" and Sammy woke up. He was puzzled. He wondered when it all ended. He barely remembered how he played. Baron got nervous when he saw Sammy's reaction, so he asked if Sammy was okay. Did he raise it too quickly? Sammy replied, "No, it's okay. It was fun." The assistant asked if he was good. "Yes," the director replied. Yes, he had seen this scene many times, but it still took his breath away. It looks like Melissa was able to break through her shell, so they won't have to reshoot that scene. Even after the shooting, Melissa could not calm down. She kept crying and calling for her son. The Baron said that she still hasn't calmed down. This method of playing has its own difficulties and disadvantages. Sammy asked what method. Baron replied, "The method of playing where you become the character yourself." For example, Melissa, who has no children, completely forgets who she is and acts as if she has always been William's mother. But the role continues to affect her as if everything was happening in reality. So it is often difficult to control her emotions. Sammy thought he too became William for a moment, switching over when he heard the start of the take. This is different somehow. Sammy asked how he could learn the same from Baron. The Baron replied that the basis of acting is understanding. You need to understand clearly. Sammy interrupted him saying, "To understand the character's story, the Movie Lovers channel." Baron became embarrassed and asked. Sammy watched it too. This is his favorite actor. Sammy said yes. He really likes it and accidentally activated the skill. Then Sammy slapped himself on the cheeks and said to himself, "Not now." He wasn't smiling. He definitely wasn't smiling. During filming, there were about 30 people watching Sammy, but the skill only worked on 4. Maybe it's because of the entry level. Sammy now realizes how amazing the top level of skills are. Min watched the video from the filming and said that Melissa has amazing acting talent. Sammy asked with displeasure, "What about him?" Sammy quickly became sad, so Min quickly said, "Their Sammy is also very cool." Haley added, "Of course, even the director praised Sammy." Then Sammy smiled brightly and said, "Yes." Min said that if the release is in early April, it will be after their return to Korea. He was unable to watch his son's first filming because of work. "So, I definitely have to see the premiere on the big screen," Haley said. They were told that the film will be edited, and a lot of scenes will be cut, so this moment may not make it into the film at all. Sammy wondered why. He tried so hard not to smile all day. He spent so much energy. Richard, the vice president of Marine Studios, complained about the paparazzi. The assistant said there was nothing to be done about it. There's been a lot of fuss right now about the casting change in Redbone, which happened because the film's main character got into an accident. When journalists were chasing him, the equipment was bought, workers were hired, and the money invested could not be returned. The studio had to add 2 films from first-time directors to its lineup to plug the gap in its schedule created by the delayed film. The vice president said he didn't know about the rest, but the advertising strategy had already been decided. The assistant said that director Sarah Lott chose popular actors for the green-winged one. Their acting skills are highly rated. But another director, Vol, went with unknown actors, the vice president added. Before this, the director had only made short films, but he has good skills and a keen eye for people. The vice president asked why they were filming a shadow man. He didn't even know such a character existed. Richard thought that what he saw in these actors was that Richard is a charismatic vice president who is willing to walk the line between legal and illegal for the sake of the company's success. I burst into tears while watching the film like a lost child, which quickly became a joke. In early April, the family returned to Korea, and Shadow Man was released. The director had already contacted them and said that Sammy appeared in the film. So the illusion of the laughing mushroom worked. But active advertising began among the 2 heroes. Sammy never thought of this. Who knew that they would encourage competition between films through advertising? That's why Sammy was in such a hurry. He told his parents that if they didn't look now, the green-winged one would win. People said the green-winged one would win. His director had already received a bunch of awards. The Shadow Man didn't have a chance. Min said, "A lot of people are going to see that movie," Sammy said discontentedly. "He will still go to the Shadow Man." The first screening of Grenwings ended. People left the hall and said, "It's a good film." An employee came out from another room and said loudly, "The first show of the Shadow Man is over. The napkins are here." The guys left the hall in tears. The crowd from the other hall wondered why they were crying. Wasn't this a superhero action movie? Sami in the hall was also crying. He didn't have enough mana to resist the effect of his own skill. Haley said, "Oh my god, Sami won't have any left if he cries so much." Min asked how he could burst into tears on his own. The credits started rolling, and Haley said Sami's name was going to come up, and Sami stopped crying and turned around. The guy who runs the movie channel said he was finally able to shed a tear while watching Shadow Man. He couldn't take his eyes off William's smiling face, as if he could see his true acting talent. And this was a clip that he recorded in a movie theater, so he made some inquiries about the actor's child. He found out he was Korean, made his debut in a baby food commercial, and also appeared on the show Brown and Black. After a review from a popular YouTuber, the number of other reviews and articles talking about how everyone cries during the sessions has increased. The so-called Shadow Man Tear Challenge, where you have to watch a movie until you cry, was gaining momentum across the country. At that time, director Damien usually shot commercials, but always wanted to do serious cinema. And recently he received a good offer. The production company liked the script, and they offered him to make his debut film. Mystery films are not very popular in Korea, so Damien has to try even harder to succeed. After spending a month and a half traveling around the country, Damien found a town that would be perfect. The casting manager said this was the third audition, and the director had again rejected all candidates. Damien apologized. The manager said he understood that the director was excited about filming his first movie, but they would not be able to move the schedule any further. A decision needs to be made now. There is one child who has attracted a lot of attention lately. Quite famous. He doesn't even know if he will act in their film. He appeared in the recent premiere of the Marine Studio. Damien didn't see the movie, so the manager brought him to the cinema. Damien saw the crowd and wondered what was going on. There were a lot of bloggers in the cinemas, and they all talked about the challenge. They also had napkins with them. The movie starts. Mac, the main character of the movie, can use shadows. One day when he was delivering pizza through the shadow, he found a bloody necklace, and as soon as he touched it, a signal was sent into space. In a distant galaxy on the planet Natra, someone said, they discovered a signal from a traitor on Earth. There was an order to send a warship and destroy it. Mac did everything possible to defeat this ship, but he couldn't save those who were sucked into the wormhole, that's all. Only because of this, for some reason, people cried. Bloggers and viewers said that they couldn't complete this challenge again, and Damien couldn't either. Damien thought that they would definitely want to invite him to all the Hollywood films, and said that they should invite him to the casting, even if he had to fall on his knees and beg him. After the film, the director was looking for a child actor. Only after seeing the name did the director remember the little boy he had filmed 4 years ago. The director said he has grown so much, he noticed it while filming the commercial. This kid is definitely a genius. He called Catherine, Elephant's head of marketing, and she told him they had decided to stop advertising altogether. Advertising of infant formula has been banned by international regulations to prevent abuse. That's why they stopped showing the video with Sam. Catherine came to say about it. Haley said, "It's not her fault." Sammy nodded, thinking this ad was already 4 years old, so he didn't see any problems. Catherine said she saw Sammy in a movie. He was so good. Haley said yes, he loves to act. They are thinking of sending him to acting school, Catherine said. If he goes there after his role in the film, then they'll put it on display as a trophy, Haley replied. Yes, so they decided not to go there for now. He and his dad don't really understand this stuff, and they won't be able to play along with him forever for practice. He needed a friend or a teacher to train with, and that's when Katrin got the call. She apologized and walked away. A little later she stitched and asked Haley if she remembered the director Damien who shot the commercial with Sammy. Haley said yes. Katrin said he wants to meet them. He's going to show them the script of his movie. Hearing this, Sammy immediately became happy and said he wants to see the script. It seems that because of his role as an extra who just smiles, most of the scripts they are sent offer roles where they have to do more or less the same thing. Why would he need that? It's too boring. That's why Sammy refused everyone. But will the director's case be any different? After all, he hadn't seen him for a long time, Haley said. Yes, of course, they don't mind, Catherine said. Then she'll give him his contacts. That evening, Haley called the director, introduced herself, and asked how he was doing. They started talking. At one point she asked, a mystical film. Sammy asked what it meant. Min replied, it's a genre where the tension is maintained until the very end, often about ghosts or paranormal forces. Sammy asked if he could play a ghost, Min said, or a victim in a complicated case. Haley asked what role he was looking for Sammy for. They talked for a while and Haley said she would call him back. Sammy immediately asked what role. Min asked what happened. Haley answered, Sammy is offered the role of a shaman. Then Sammy asked what a shaman is. They wear clothes like that. The guys printed out materials and a script. Sammy was looking at the photos. He asked why they were wearing these clothes. Min answered, who knows? Sammy asked why they were dancing. Min replied, it seems that this is a gut ritual. There are rituals that can drive away an evil spirit that has taken over the body. And dancing makes all the bad things disappear. Sammy asked how one becomes a shaman. Min answered that very powerful gods enter the body and give the shaman their power to help. Sammy asked, do they possess, and don't evil spirits do the same thing? A critical question, and Min is not so well versed in this. Min asked Haley to help. Sammy thought it was fun to tease him. It turns out that the power of shamans is comparable to high priests or priests. Haley asked Sammy what he thought of the script. Interestingly, Sammy said yes, he wants to play. Then Haley said she would call the director back, and Sammy went to his dad and sat on his lap. Sammy asked his dad to read the script with him. Min asked if he would practice right away. Okay, Dad will help. Heck knocked on the door, and that was the only sound that came through. After some time, the guys drank to the successful filming, the guy said. Finally, they started. He hasn't played leading roles for a long time. He needs to try hard. He will be glad to work with everyone. This is the main character of the film, Chester. The director said that in his case, this is his first film, so he will need their help. Assistant director Chen said it was rare to meet someone with such a good atmosphere. Chester asked when they would meet that kid. Damien replied, at the next shoot. 2 days ago, Sammy's maternal grandmother fell and was hospitalized. Haley said she was the only one who could take care of her now, and asked what would happen with Sammy's filming if she left. Min said it looked like he was going to have to take a day off, when suddenly Hank called and said he had finally signed a contract with the factory, and he dealt with the unfulfilled orders for toys, so now he is free. The parents looked at each other and nodded at the same time. Then Min said they were choosing him. Hank asked why, and that's how he became Sammy's manager for the shoot. Hank asked if it seemed like this was the first time they were going out somewhere, just the two of them. Yes, Sammy replied, yes. They arrived and Hank thought, although it was unexpected, he was glad that such a chance presented itself. After all, he can do what he likes thanks to the advertising on Sammy's channel and his parents' investment in promotion. After 1 day of looking after Sammy, a mere trifle, Hank asked Sammy if he knew how popular the goblin toy Sammy had drawn had become. The orders are pouring in. He and Sammy will definitely get rich, Sammy said. Then next time he will draw something else. Chen ran up to the guys. He said that he was the assistant director. Hank introduced himself and said that he was a temporary guardian. Then Chen shouted, a Hollywood star, a child actor who starred in The Shadow Man, had come to visit them. People on the set turned around and started talking about Sammy, the director thought. What a scoundrel. Now I understand why he was whining that he wanted to tell everyone. Everyone came up to Sammy and the director said, Sam will play the role of the child shaman in the evil spirit. Sammy bowed and introduced himself. The guys were touched by Sammy and said that they were looking at a man's shadow. Surprisingly, William himself came to visit them. Sammy was incredibly happy that everyone knew him. Finally feeling like he was on his way to becoming a star, Sammy noticed the papers, and he realized that they wanted an autograph. He had already thought of an autograph with his parents. Min said that it would be his autograph. Let him give it to all the people who like him. Sammy asked if they wanted an autograph. The guys happily replied, yes. Somehow the filming turned into an autograph signing event. The director watched this and thought, not only the assistant director, even Chester stood in line. Chester walked up to Sammy and introduced himself. Sammy also said hello and introduced himself. He called Chester Sunbae and Chester laughed. Such a little boy calling him Sunbae, so funny, Chester thought. Sammy asked if he wanted an autograph in Korean or English. Chester was surprised that Sammy already knew English. The director called everyone, and he said let them keep it a secret that Sammy would appear in this film. The guys asked why. It would be good advertising. But the director said that if they found out about this, they would be swarmed by reporters and journalists, and the schedule would have to be changed. They only have a few scenes left to film, and they don't want to work all night long. And if they keep everything a secret, they will receive a bonus after the release of the film. Then the guys thought, they will keep the secret at any cost. At night, Hank said, because the scene was supposed to be scary, filming began after sunset. He overheard while Sammy was sleeping. It seemed that only eminent people, famous doctors, lawyers, and judges lived in this hanok. I wonder if it has anything to do with the piece of land. Sammy asked what it had to do with it. Hank replied, there's a mountain over there and a river next to it. The energy of the mountain and river comes down directly to the hanok and gives strength to the people who live here. It can be money luck. Or are all children born smart? Sammy said. Cool, Uncle knows so many interesting things. Hank laughed and said, while talking and not noticing how they got there, Sammy changed his clothes. And Hank said, "Sammy looks cool, but isn't it too thin?" Sammy said, "He's not cold at all." The girl said she was going to put on makeup, so she would have to be silent for a while. In fact, the girls played rock, paper, scissors to choose who would do Sammy's makeup. Then Chester came in makeup and said he felt like a third wheel here since Sammy was there. Sammy said it looked so realistic. Chester said the makeup skills are on another level. Once upon a time, there lived a little goblin who was born from a shaman's bell deep in the mountains. The mischievous bell goblin loved to scare Kim to death, who passed through the mountains becoming very huge. Or turning his yellow energy into pure black, the guy was passing by a tree when suddenly a monster jumped towards him. The guy, of course, was scared. The monster asked if it was time for him to get used to it. "Kim is such a coward," the guy asked through tears. "The goblin spawn won't let him live up to his name, right? By the way, this cat, a traditional Korean hat, looks very familiar," Kim said. And only then did he realize that it was his hat. Kim, who was easily scared of everything around him, and the goblin bell eventually became best friends. On rare occasions, a goblin could see into the future, and that day, the bell goblin saw it. And in this future there was Kim's death, a collapse, there was rain. Kim cried and called for the goblin. Luckily, he was able to see Kim's future and save him, the goblin thought. He told Kim, "Everything is fine. There is no need to be so sad because he lived longer than Kim, so Kim lost his friend." Kim continued to come to the mountain, scolding his friend for leaving him like that, and promising that they would meet again. That goblin was our Sammy, looking at the mountain and wondering if Mr. Kim lived a long life after that. Sammy used the skill, goblin bell play. Sammy thought he really worked hard. In order to create the form that he wanted, it can exist inside, but its energy somewhat breaks out. Looking human, but not actually human, Heck works in an antique store when he stumbles upon a seemingly expensive jewelry box. Heck said he could definitely sell it for a good price after he cleaned it. But as soon as Heck opened the box, he released the spirit. His eyes lost their shine, and he said, "A rather useful thing got in." An evil spirit clings to Heck, and as the days go by, it causes even more accidents. Heck looked at his hands in horror and wondered why there was oil on his hands. Was this really his doing too? He continues to travel around the world to exorcise the evil spirit, but so far without success. One of the shamans gave Heck a note and told him to visit this place and pray for the Lord's protection to be with him. Heck fights off the evil spirit's attempts to stop him and arrives at the village marked on the paper. Meeting with the shaman, Heck knocked on the door and immediately felt incredible energy. The director thought, as expected from the actor, his acting was so natural, as if he really felt the power of the god on the other side of the door. But why does he have this feeling that there is something on the other side of the door too? The doors opened, and the shaman looked at Heck. Heck said he heard that there was an experienced shaman living here. This young shaman lost his parents when he was younger, and his parents were wounded by what was hidden in the body of this man, this evil creature. The director shouted, "Cut," and Sammy quietly said, "The game with Mr. Kim is over," to turn off his skill. Hank asked if Sammy was okay, and Sammy said he was just a little tired. Hank said Sammy did great. Sammy thought maybe because he had matured so much, it was a lot easier than making the movie Shadow Man. Hank offered to look at the footage, opening the door. Hank asked how Sammy managed to open this thick door. Sammy answered, "But it's not tight at all. It actually opened up easily." "Like this?" Hank asked. "Really?" The director suggested taking a short break while they prepared for the next scene. The man said, "It was amazing." Chester's experience is immediately evident, but Sammy is no slouch either. They played brilliantly. The director replied, "Not quite so. He thinks Chester is trying his best to keep Sam from overtaking him." Chester sat down next to Sammy and thought that his acting evoked feelings that could not be felt from an ordinary actor. How could a kid be so skilled so early in his career? Chester looked at Sammy. Then Sammy asked if there was something on his face. Chester awkwardly answered no, and thought, now he looks like a normal child. Such people are sometimes found. They are gifted with talent by heaven itself, literally, natural-born actors. The next scene began, Chester thought. He has no time to sit and wonder. Working with a brilliant actor can help his talent grow. If he didn't get it from birth, he would steal the secrets of this boy's craftsmanship. In the morning, Sammy was eating breakfast. Heck thanked his granny for letting him rest a little, and even prepared some food. Grandma said, "No problem. They took him all day, but there were no problems. This boy is amazing." "What are they filming?" asked Grandma. Sammy replied, "A film in which they defeat an evil spirit. There are characters of a pastor, a shaman, and he's trying to exorcise an evil spirit. That's the plot," Hank said. Uncle said, "So he is a shaman. They had one in the neighboring village. He often helped. And will the film be shown on TV?" asked Grandma. "There they will show their village. They should see it. They should definitely go to that restaurant and eat kimchi." Hank and Sammy were bombarded with questions. Then Hank shouted, "Thanks for the noodles. It was very tasty." and now they will go for a walk around the village. The uncle said that he wished the shaman from the neighboring village was there. Then he would ask about the fate of his grandson. Granny asked. He arrived the day before yesterday, and today he ran off somewhere, didn't even come back for lunch. Grandpa said that in the morning he wanted to look at the sanctuary. Sammy found a huge tree and was examining it. Hank said he looked like he was about 200 years old and offered to take a picture of Sammy for Mom and Dad. Sammy thought the Bell Goblin's final resting place was similar to this place. He specifically checked that there was no hollow in this tree. Sammy suggested going to the mountains. Hank said, okay. They went up the mountain, and Hank said there was so much shade. It was a good idea. And there were such beautiful flowers everywhere. Sammy said there were even squirrels. And there was a pheasant over there. And suddenly the bird started screaming, and Hank got scared. And he said, what if there are wild boars here, unexpectedly? Sammy heard a voice. Someone said he should have taken an umbrella. Hank asked if something was wrong. Sammy said Kim and activated the skill and ran forward, surprising Hank. The sound was so quiet that he could barely tell the direction, but it was definitely there. A human voice. He has a low ability level. The energy for searching in the mountains will not last long if he dissipates a little, and will track the returning waves like a bat. We'll be able to find him. Sammy stopped abruptly. Hank ran after him and asked if Sammy understood how angry he was. Sammy calmly replied, Uncle, there is someone there. Later, the aunt said that this was the son of Mr. Choi's daughter. A hole was dug in the forest to catch wild boars. It was lucky that they found him in time. Grandma asked how the baby got to that trap. Grandpa said that it's true that only the locals know about it because it was dug deep in the mountains. The guy said he doesn't envy them. You can add a lot of graphics in post-production, but the actors have to look at the equipment around them and still act realistically. The first part of Redbone was filmed on a green screen. The actor was covered in motion sensors, but he behaved calmly even in such a situation. By the way, someone said that the filming schedule would be slightly extended. This is because of the incident that happened during the day. The set was in a bit of chaos. Then the actors came out. Sammy changed into the shaman's clothes. The director said they had reached the last scene and the ending of the film. It was time to begin. Sammy needs to leave enough space for the deity inside him to remember, Sammy replied. Okay. Filming began. Sammy activated his goblin skill. He decided to play with Mr. Kim like in the old days. The evil spirit said that they had not seen each other for a long time. The child had been waiting for him since he killed his parents. It was very tasty. He liked it, by the way. There is something strange inside it. The shaman was calm, and the spirit said, this is his prey, who dared to move into this boy. Suddenly, the guy began to choke. The spirit said that the only one who can separate them is that little one. Let him beg him for it. The deity told the shaman that the spirit wanted him to open his mouth. This would allow it to take over his body. When his strength weakens, the evil spirit will devour his soul. That person will also be in danger, the shaman said. He knows. But man suffers because of him, just like Mom and Dad did that day. Then the deity answered, the kid is too soft-hearted. That's why he chose him. But it's not time yet. We need to be patient a little. The girl said, he doesn't say anything, but the acting remains perfect, so talented. The evil spirit was strangling the guy and saying, why does a stupid person doubt? The pain will immediately subside. You just have to ask. Suddenly the pain subsided. The guy hadn't felt this since the spirit took over his body. The spirit asked what he thought. It's really nice, really. The guy wants to return everything to how it was. Let him ask the baby for help. The boy was shaking with pain. He called the baby. The shaman thought, nothing can be done when he asks for help. He can't refuse. Even if he loses his soul, he doesn't want someone to die because of him again. But the guy said, let him do what he must. The spirit got angry and shouted, damn it. He said, beg for help. Then the boy shouted, how noisy at his age you need to not only cry but also laugh. And he couldn't even speak for 3 years. It's too unfair, the kid thought. He's such a good person. He can't let him die, the deity said. Yes, too soft-hearted. How does he see his future? The baby answered. Happy, the deity asked, even without him. The baby replied that he would not see him, but he would always be near him. The deity replied that it seemed that it would not be possible to convince him otherwise. Okay, the time has come. Today is the day he was born. There is a bright full moon in the sky. He understands how difficult it was to remain silent all this time, the deity said at last. The spirit wanted to eat the soul, but the guy did not let him go. He shouted that he would never let the spirit go. If he wants to leave, let him try to kill him first, the shaman said. He offers a prayer to the god of heaven and earth. He asks to save this humble creature and his great soul to descend to his body. The guy got up, and he saw the glow. He wondered where these flickering things came from, and the shaman shouted, he asks to burn the ignorant evil and destroy it at the root. The power got to the guy, and he started screaming at the top of his lungs. People on the site said, What a scream. It was like he was burning alive. In fact, that's how it was. Chester saw the glow that Sammy summoned and was truly scared. He thought he was imagining things. It looked like a ghost from a popular horror movie. Even so, the scene needs to be finished, the guy said. It seems like he knows how to deal with ghosts now. All thanks to the baby. The boy lost consciousness, and the shaman was breathing heavily and crying. Then the director shouted, "Cut!" Sammy and Chester were tired. Suddenly the kids started clapping for them. After filming, Sammy immediately fell asleep. The guys surrounded him and admired him. They said he overdid it a bit. The director said Hank could take him and thanked him for his work. Hank said yes, they would leave first. Chester said goodbye to Sammy and told him to get a good rest. But Sammy didn't even think about waking up. But Chester himself fell into a chair from fatigue and barely had time to think that he would lose to Sammy. The director said, "No need to be modest." He thought they were almost equal, Chester said. That's the problem. He is on equal terms with the newcomers, although he has been acting for many years and has not received such pleasure from filming for a long time. It felt like all the extra thoughts had evaporated, and only the scene remained, as if he had become a character with an evil spirit inside him. And before him was a deity and light. Was it really his fantasy? Chester wondered. It seemed like he was feeling some kind of hot energy. Maybe he passed out during filming. What could it be? A bad sign? A ghost or an illusion? Chester was at a loss. The director said he was worried about how to edit the scene, so nervous his heart was pounding. Sammy's performance was amazing. He seemed to have some kind of golden aura about him, if only he could recreate it. The scene could have been much better, Chester said, envious of those who would be the first to see the finished film. Now he can't even imagine what will come of this. The director said that we need to finish for today. Chester needs to rest. Tomorrow will also be difficult, Chester said. Then he will go too. The director thanked him for his work. Sammy came home and the son and father hugged each other sweetly. Min asked how the trip was. The filming was fun. And Sammy answered, "Yes, you couldn't think of anything better," Min asked seriously. Sammy forgot what Dad said. "Don't go anywhere alone. Uncle Hank told him everything," Min said. Hank laughed. And he said that the child who fell into the hole had already come to his senses. Without Sammy, everything could have ended much worse. Sammy got proud. Hank said he was their hero. Sammy said he wanted to show Chester's autograph. Min asked if Hank wanted to go to America. Min asked what? Why was he suddenly asking about this? A film deal came up, Min said, and the director of Shadow Man said he wanted to work with Sammy again. Hank asked why Min didn't go. Min replied that his job was still there. Sammy asked, "New filming." Min asked if he wanted to see the description. He would take Uncle Hank and go to America. Sammy asked if he was going to America with his uncle and was happy. Then Hank told Sammy that his uncle had not yet agreed. Hank asked if Min still didn't want to work for their company. Min replied that of course, deep down he wanted to, but it would definitely be difficult. And this is not their company, but Hank's. Then Hank asked why draw such lines. Sammy invested the income from his channel in it. That's why he has long become a part of it. The contract with the production has already been signed. There is more and more work, but he has no one to entrust it to. They have been good friends for 20 years. If Min agrees, he will even guarantee the position of co-owner. He won't be able to stay with Sammy that often anyway because of work, and it's unknown when Min will be sent on another overseas assignment. Min looked at his son and thought. Hank continued to talk. The salary will be huge. Very little work. Before Hank could finish speaking, Min finally agreed. Hank asked, really, and when he would start. Min said he needed time to hand over the responsibilities at his old place. Hank and Sammy would be going to America. Hank asked if this was a new contract. Would he definitely fit? Min said the agent said she would fit, she would be there too. Sammy asked, Aunt Nara, then Hank said, well, he thinks everything will be okay. Min apologized for not being able to be there. Sammy said, no problem. Min said, let him meet the principal and play with Jack before coming back. Meanwhile, in the hospital, the guy wrote that he had recently been walking in the mountains and accidentally fell into a boar trap. His leg bent the wrong way. Who would have thought it could twist like that? He was in pain and scared. He called for help. But no one came. He doesn't know how much time passed. He remembers shivering from the cold, continuing to scream and eventually losing consciousness. But when he opened his eyes again, he was already in the hospital. They say that if he had lain there a little longer, he could have gotten hypothermia. But the doctor said that his temperature was normal, even higher than expected, which is pretty strange. A child actor who was filming in a nearby village found him and thus saved him. Later, he plans to watch the film with his participation at least 10 times. The grandfather grumbled, did not listen to anyone, left, and even broke his leg. The guy replied that he would try to be more careful next time. And what was the name of that movie? He wanted to watch it. Grandfather said he definitely wasn't going to watch it, although the villagers wanted to meet up and go see it together. The guy asked why, and the grandfather replied that the name alone gave him goosebumps. Some devil or some other evil spirit, even though the child is a savior, still doesn't worry that this might lead to misfortune. The guy thought about it, but he still doesn't understand how the child found him. The locals say that only they know about the location of the traps. The video blogger greeted his subscribers and said that Redbone 2 will be released in mid-July. A subscriber wrote that if he still hasn't mentioned his trip to the premiere, it means he missed everything and is now suffering. The guy asked why hit the nail on the head right away, then said bye. To celebrate the release of the film, there will be a Q&A with a special guest on air today. The girl greeted everyone. She is his sister. The guy said, Redbone is not the only product of the Marine Studio. Now everyone is interested in watching the fate of that very Lord of Tears. They will solve the mystery of this amazing actor together with his devoted Canadian and part-time sister. Choosing a new role is quite a difficult task for any actor. Sadly, considering his age, it will take a long time. It's hard to remember long lines yet, so if the little one does appear on screen soon, fans shouldn't expect a big role. A subscriber asked if the next filming would take place in Korea, or maybe in the US. The guy replied that this was also an interesting question. The girl said it absolutely had to be the US, even if he was just an extra. The reason why viewers are so interested in Sammy is that he is still a little-known actor, but has already made his Hollywood debut with a lot of positive reviews. No matter how good the skills are, a lot depends on chance. Often aspiring artists do not achieve success only because of bad luck. And in order to attract as much attention to themselves as possible, they cannot lose their connections with Hollywood. Subscribers said that it would not be better to film in Korea with good roles and decent pay. The guy said he didn't think there were so many people here who hadn't heard anything about it yet. As they can see, Sammy became famous thanks to his publications about baby food. However, new videos continue to gain popularity, so he doesn't think money has such a strong influence on his choices. Minji, a member of the Dream Cinema PR team that created the film Evil Spirit. She is a true fan of Marine Studios and even took a day off for the film's release. It was so hard to get here, and the release was reshot because of the incident with the paparazzi. But now nothing can stop her. A few hours later, Minji burst into tears and said, "It was beautiful." And now the post-credits scene. An ordinary playground. The swings were fluttering, and a familiar bear appeared on the screen. But the bear already looked disheveled. A boy approached the bear. A woman appeared behind and asked, "William?" The boy turned around and looked at her with an indifferent look. Then Minji burst into the office and shouted that someone had said they hated movie spoilers to death. The girl asked if such a person could work in a film studio, Minnie said. But she was about to leave the screening of Redbone 2. As I saw the post-credits scene, so if they use it like that, Minji asked. Then the man thought for a moment and said that he would gather everyone and call an urgent meeting a few weeks later. The guy was flipping through the channels and thinking that every time he switched channels, he saw ads again. Suddenly he saw a thriller and said, "It's summer now, so it's time for premieres. And if Chester plays the lead role, then disaster cannot be avoided." But the thriller quickly captured the boy's attention, and soon a child shaman appeared on the screen. The trailer ended abruptly and the man saw his frightened face in the reflection. And he screamed in fear, then screamed, "What the hell?" It's just his face, he was scared for a second. The immediate immersion was insane. He had never watched a trailer so closely before. But it's not plagiarism no matter how you look at it. And it's too similar to the post-credits scene in Redbone 2. It looks interesting, of course. It's unlikely to be just a coincidence, especially this direction. There's no way the production company would do this without a good reason. If they take the risk, the film will be associated with William. And then people won't remember what the movie is about. Does that mean Sammy is coming back? Redbone 2 caused a wide public resonance. However, discussion of the plot could not overshadow the excitement. With the post-credits scene hinting at the film's proposed Shadow Man, opinions on Sammy's possible return to the role of William are divided. The girl asked the guys if they thought little Sammy would star in a Marine Studios movie again. The guy replied, "To be honest, Hollywood racism is not a joke. Will they continue to put Asians in leading roles?" The second one said, "Of course, this is his personal opinion. Director Razin is actively interested in social issues." Redbone 2 was released, and a week later, a new post was published on the official Marine page. "The Marine hero is everyone's hero and no one will be left behind. That's what the fans say," the vice president's assistant said. The vice president said they should have seen those eyes. The assistant said, "Director Ryan. They said he was great." The guy said that William, who they introduced to people as an extra, has now become the main character's opponent. And now that he will be in the frame throughout the entire film, maybe they should change the casting. It just so happens that the previous performer is quite young, and it's also nice to have a cast that's more familiar to the audience. They understand Europeans better than Asians, and the director didn't like these racist comments at all. The vice president said, there was no doubt in that look, that if they didn't listen to him, he would make a film accusing the studios of racial discrimination and quote everything that had been said in the conference room. The assistant laughed and said the director was good at this. The vice president asked if he was taking the director's side because he was Korean himself. The man replied that in their time there is nothing more senseless than racial prejudice. Then he handed over a tablet and said, these are box office statistics and the number of views of Redbone 2 in different countries. Doesn't he think it's quite good to cast a Korean actor of that caliber? The vice president asked what the population of Korea is, and the assistant replied that it's exactly 10 times that number. The vice president said, 5 million. Such a breakthrough at the very beginning, it's amazing. The assistant said, by the way, there was a letter from a Korean film company. They said they want to pay homage to the post-credits scene of Redbone 2. The guy read that a letter had just arrived from the film company producing The Evil Spirit. The Marine studio had approved everything. If they gave permission, there was a chance that Sam would return. They told him he would have to go to the company to sort everything out. Now we can confidently say that he is a Hollywood star. DiCaprio, Tom Cruise, and Sammy. Sammy's next project is Evil Spirit. He will definitely watch it when it comes out. The guy saw an advertisement on the street and thought, aggressive marketing, like a new director. However, so confident is the film going to be a box office hit, the couple said that Sammy is in the film. The guy looked at the brochure and thought, there are no names or faces on the brochure, a step towards mysticism. The movie started. Heck, the main character of the movie asked what such a small child was doing in such a place. The old man replied that he had lost his parents when he was 4 years old. An evil spirit that wanted the child had taken them. That same day, he received a divine message asking him to save the boy. I wonder what the Almighty has plans for this child. This is how he has been living for the last 3 years. Now he is already 7, but he cannot talk, laugh, or cry. Heck thought so sadly, and the evil spirit inside him said that it wanted him. It needed him. The boy tried not to lose control, but it didn't work out. The evil spirit took possession of him and told the child. He grew up so appetizing, it's impossible. He's just a simple child, Heck said to the spirit. He tried to stop the spirit. A fight began between the spirit and Heck. Heck thought he needed to get out of here quickly before it was too late. Before anyone else dies, he must run, but the spirit asks if he thinks he will let him run. After the film, the girls said that from the moment the main character's body was taken away, the tension didn't build at a crazy pace. Suddenly, the boy interrupted them and said that it was simply unfair that such a small child could not laugh or cry. He apologizes for such a sudden intrusion. He just wanted to speak out. He liked the last scene the most, when he casts out the spirit, and then disappears with all the power given by God, and lives like a most ordinary child. Meanwhile, Sammy signed a contract for the film Shadow Man 2, and has already returned from the USA. Sammy was given a contact and told he could sign here. The director said he was glad Sam agreed to the terms. He signed and they wished him luck on his new shoot. Sammy cheerfully replied, yes. But Sammy wasn't happy with himself. As expected, it's quite difficult to act when you have a director in front of you. He said that Sammy had passed, so there was no problem. But Sammy felt that his performance was not as good as usual. Sammy rolled on the floor in doubt. Then, barely holding back tears, he cried out that he was terribly upset. The show's host said there was another actor in the film Evil Spirit, who caught everyone's attention. This is Sammy. Maybe you could share your opinion about him, the host asked. Chester said, Sammy is an incredible actor. At first it seemed to him that he had a natural talent, nothing more. But when he looked at his script, he realized that this was absolutely not the case, and the presenter asked him what it was that seemed so impressive to him. It turned out that Sammy had been studying more than just his lines, Chester replied. He thought he had come across a lot of words, the meanings of which he did not yet know. This boy tried to write down definitions next to each of them. The scene where the main character and the child shaman met for the first time, it seemed to him that he was not an actor, but the real Heck. Then he literally froze because of Sammy's game. The host said, here, in more detail, I would like to know more about one moment. Some of the actors and crew members of the Evil Spirit claim to have seen the ghost during filming. And what about Mr. Chester? The parents said they were hearing about it for the first time. Hank didn't say anything like that. Min asked if Sammy had seen anything similar. Sammy nervously replied, no, never. Nothing at all. Chester asked if they had heard that CG graphics were used in the infamous scene. The host asked if he was talking about the appearance of golden flames. That scene is something incredible. She thinks it's one of the best moments in Evil Spirit. It turned out to be so spectacular that rumors spread that many were interested in the company that managed to implement such an idea in a film. Chester suddenly said it was a ghost. The atmosphere on the court changed, and Sammy became nervous. Sammy thought, he thought so. He knew that the energy from the skill would have some effect on people, but he had no idea that it would show up during filming, Chester said. In fact, he thought that he was the only witness of the paranormal. But it turned out that the director also noticed the ghost. It was he who decided that it would be a good idea to rework the original footage, so he worked hard with a CG artist. The person in charge of computer graphics also asked how they managed to get such a clear image. The CG specialist highly praised the director's work. And when he saw the finished version of the film at the premiere, he caught his breath. It was an exact copy of what he saw. After the screening, both the director and everyone else realized that they had seen a real ghost. If this had happened throughout the entire filming process, he would have played more believably. The presenter said, "I understand, by the way. They say that Sammy did a great job." Many have heard the story of how this young actor saved a man who fell into a boar pit. In fact, if it weren't for Sammy's help, he would have been in big trouble, the guy thanked Sammy on TV. The parents said that this was the older brother whom their baby saved, and they hope that he is okay now. A month later, the evil spirit left behind such loud words as, "This is a real ghost." 6 million people watched it, well above the break-even point, and a couple of months later it was released in other countries, including the US. But with smaller coverage over time, children said goodbye to Sammy. The girl told Sammy, "It's already cold, it's better to go inside." Sammy looked at the guys and thought, it's much easier to get along with them now than before. At first it was quite difficult for him, thanks to the teacher who then saved him from requests for an autograph. Haley ran into the garden and apologized for being late. Sammy hugged his mom. The teacher said everything was fine. The teacher handed Haley an invitation to the children's Christmas festival. "At home, eating," Haley said. "It's a big kids' party with a Christmas tree." Min asked if Sammy wanted to go. Sammy said yes, but suddenly Chuck said he couldn't. No way. The parents asked why. Chuck replied that neither his sister nor his brother-in-law knew how famous their child was. Haley asked if it wasn't quiet now. The teacher, his peers, their parents were used to it. Chuck said it was my opinion that they see him all the time, and at the festival he'll meet people he's never met, right? In addition, whether only his peers would come there. Because of the advertising about this event, not only the children's relatives, but also the students found out. In theory, it's just a children's festival, but it will eventually turn into a full-scale Christmas celebration. Sister and brother-in-law will also be in the middle of the crowd asking for an autograph. Sammy said he doesn't want to go there. Parents also refused. Haley said it would make it pretty hard for Sammy to attend parties like this now. What a shame. They should go to places like this to create good memories. Take photos. Min asked if they should wear masks. Chuck said he had a suggestion. For some reason, he decided to buy crab sauce. Actually, Brown and Black are playing on Christmas Eve. What if Sammy is there as a guest? Sammy asked if he could play with his brothers. Chuck said sure. He could sing a song or just say hello. It will be broadcast live to the whole country and the whole world, and there will be a lot of viewers there. Sammy thought, live broadcast. When else would he be able to get to a broadcast like this? Then Sammy said he was in. He wanted to go there and sing. Chuck was happy that his plan to promote the group worked. Brown and Black have not left the top lines of the charts, although 5 years have passed since their debut. And the agency of such a famous idol group is located here, thought Sammy, looking at the shabby building. They don't even have an elevator. Sammy asked if his uncle was paid well. Chuck answered, of course. Sammy asked, and the others too, Chuck replied. They were guaranteed good pay under the contract. Chuck stopped and exhaled and said, a couple of years ago, there was talk about creating a new idol group. Sammy said he remembers Tim being thrilled at the news that they would soon have a baby joining them. Chuck said, yes, they put a lot of money into that group. But it didn't last long, and within a year there was talk of starting a new one. This is how things were with Uncle. First among the idols who had not yet succeeded in Brown and Black, 2 were involved in a criminal scandal. Before the media could rot the group, the director decided to disband the fledgling team. Later, a new group was created, but it was soon discovered that the song, allegedly written by one of its members, was copied from a foreign group. But the worst thing was that the truth came out after the release of their debut song and video, so this group was quickly hyped up to great publicity in the media. After all this, his colleagues and boss were not very keen on creating a new group. Considering this, they cannot rely only on Brown and Black. It's all because previous investments failed, and now the company is like this due to a lack of funds. Sammy asked where the guys train. Chuck answered, not far from their house. The conditions here are not the best, so with the money they earn they rent a gym near them. It's even more convenient. And they came here to take the camera. Sammy asked if they would post the footage of his training. Chuck answered only after the end of the music broadcast. Sammy answered, okay. Apparently a new video will be released on the channel soon. Sammy came to the hostel and shouted loudly. The elders and the guys were also happy to see Sammy. They started discussing the song. Tim asked if Sammy was going to perform it. He thought something with a calm tempo would be suitable. Seth said, "Sure, the fast songs are pretty hard." Kevin asked, "What about this one?" They picked a song and started rehearsing. Seth said, "Well, let him listen to what he says and try to sing it." Seth started to suggest that here it should be slower, and here the note should be a little higher, and that the endings should be pronounced more carefully. Sammy failed. The guys looked at him, then all started laughing at once. Sammy shouted, "Stop laughing. It's his first time." Chuck, laughing, said, "He should show this to his sister." Seth tried his best not to laugh and said it was okay. Sammy was just getting started. "His level will improve with each rehearsal," Sammy said confidently. "Let them turn on the music. He will sing even better." Christmas night, KVS music channel, open air stage, the guys came out on stage. Tim said, "Hi everyone, Tim is with them." A member of Brown and Black, he didn't think that so many people would join them today. "Thank you all for coming here despite the cold. This time they will have a special guest with them, who was carefully kept secret. It seems that many have guessed who we are talking about, so it is worth introducing the baby. The one who played William and the baby shaman incredibly." Their Hollywood starlet, Sammy, came out on stage in a beautiful suit. The girls in the audience started screaming with emotion. The parents were also touched, only at home with Hank, who created this costume. Tim said that everyone knows Sammy. In fact, he is connected by fate to their group, which is why he is here today. Sammy prepared a special number. Sammy said thank you to everyone. He hopes that this Christmas holiday will bring them only happiness. He activated the angel skill. These are feathers that fell from the wings of little angels. They warm the hearts of those who look at them. So today's concert will be more enjoyable for everyone. And now Brown and Black are invited to the stage. As expected, their performance was simply superb. The connection between the conductor and the orchestra was excellent. Despite the continuity of performance, Sammy doesn't see much difference. Is 1.3 really the maximum improvement they have? The boys finished and Seth thought they were drained, and he felt like it was a lot better than last time. But considering how hard they had prepared, was this really their best? Then Seth noticed Sammy's gaze. Tim said, "Now it's time for a joint number with their little star. Let's greet him with a loud applause." Sammy went up on stage and Seth handed over the microphone. Seth said Sammy can use this mic. Sammy said they performed really well. Then Seth got touched and thought, to be honest, they couldn't prepare anything new for this performance. Because they had already shown their maximum, Sammy activated the orchestra conductor's communication skill. The performance began and Sammy thought, this is what it's like to perform on stage, in the spotlight, with loud music. His heart is beating wildly with joy, and there are 5 perfectly matched voices that merge together now that he sings with them. He understands that the elder always wanted to convey joy through the wall. Suddenly, all connections reached their maximum. The orchestral conductor's connection skill level increased. Sammy thought, is this possible? He looked at the guys and saw that it was so. Everyone's connection increased. The orchestra conductor's connection level increased from low to junior. Sammy's palms were shining. Musical skill can be doubled depending on the connection with the conductor. Despite the number of reincarnations, this is the first time for Sammy. After the performance, Tim shouted, they are at the top on all forums. Seth told Tim to be quiet. Of course, it was incredible. But at this rate, he would wake up Sammy. He seemed very tired walking through the crowd after the performance, and it was apparently his first experience of this kind. Even though this is a first for them too, he thinks about it all the time. It feels like every time he's with Sammy, something good happens. The boys supported this idea, saying that Sammy is a little angel for them, bringing good luck. The girl told Amy that she had finished cleaning and that the pie was in the fridge, but Amy hadn't even eaten a piece. Amy apologized to Jenny and said she just didn't want to eat. Jenny laughed. And she said, it's okay, what does Amy think? She's here to listen to her apology. She handed over the phone and said how sweet she really was. It was a photo of Sammy from the show. This photo is all over the internet right now. And she knows how Amy loves cuties, right? Jenny asked. The skill that gave the young angel's wings awe was activated even through a photo. Jenny asked. He looks like a real angel. Suddenly Amy asked. That pie that Jenny made, it's not poisoned. It was as if her appetite was coming back, Amy said. And Jenny jumped into her arms. Amy thought her depression had gone away after seeing the photo. Only good things happened after seeing it. She sincerely believes that those who look at this smile will become happy. The guy read Amy's post about Sammy and asked if it was Sammy. He became so cute. And the director, the guy's uncle, suddenly said that he needed to go to Korea. The guy asked, what? Out of the blue to Korea. He also wants it when his uncle flies away. The director replied, tomorrow, and tomorrow they were already on the plane. The guy said he still hadn't heard the reason why his uncle had suddenly flown to Korea. The director said he needed to give Sam something, so they came to Sammy's right after the airport. Sammy looked at them in surprise and asked what the director wanted to talk about. And so suddenly, the director said he saw an evil spirit. although he doesn't know much about shamans. But they seem to be pretty good at what they do. Then the director asked if Sammy remembered William. Sammy thought, of course he remembers. After all, it was his first audition and role. Sammy replied, yes, the director said. In fact, William may appear on screen again in front of the Shadow Man. After all, he is the hero's sworn enemy, and Sammy was of course happy to hear that his hero was a villain. But suddenly the director said, but Sammy is so good. Sammy froze. If Sammy were to play a villain now, people would definitely think about his angelic smile, and not about playing a villain. This is not the William he wants to see, the director finished and looked at Sammy, who already thought that this was the end. The tendency towards good with the breath of the elf had already become entrenched in him. Because of this, even if he doesn't use his abilities, he will still radiate good energy, even in villainous roles. Even if he tries to create the most realistic and believable image of the villain during filming, Sammy asked. Does this mean that he will not be able to act in films anymore? The director replied, no. Of course he would be suitable for some good roles. But Sammy was not satisfied with this answer. He said that he did not want it that way. The director was pleased with this, and asked if this meant that Sam needed to train more. This is a one-man show that he wrote especially for Sammy, the director said and left. Sammy thought, what did he say? That he now has to play only good guys for the rest of his life. He was never going to give up. However, he thought the director was here to help him, but something doesn't seem right. He sees this over and over again. As he thought, this is the only way to get out of here. He will never give up. Sammy walked up to the creepy door. It was emitting dark energy and was also wrapped in chains. The guy tried to open the door and said, so, apparently good souls are really not allowed in. The Library of Life contains both a multitude of wonderful abilities and countless evil and cruel ones. They are all hidden on the other side of the Library of Good, in the Library of Evil. To open the door of the Library of Evil, you will need dark energy. However, he is still an elf. Will he be able to master her? Even if not, now is not the time to give up. A bunch of bandits burned down a village and shouted that thanks to the elven bastard, he would be able to have fun and eat as much as he wanted. The elf said that no matter how long it takes to conquer the dark energy, it is all for the sake of revenge on the people who killed his tribe. But no matter how much the elf trained, he couldn't do anything. The elf asked if it was really impossible to stop the light energy from neutralizing the dark one. And even if it is possible, it will take countless days. No, he will succeed. Time is of no importance. For the good of the tribe, elves are patient by nature, and their lifespan is unlimited. That's why he didn't count the hours and days, trying to open this door. But compared to the elves, human life is a moment. The offenders died a natural death, and the rage, never finding an outlet, turned not only against people, but also poured out on everything around. The one whose breath has long since stopped, whose bones scream and are soaked in the blood of demons. He took the flesh of the monsters and wrapped it around himself. Thus the birth of the Demon King took place. And the end of that era was complete destruction. As a result, he was unable to open the Library of Evil. Chuck asked what was wrong with Sammy. Haley said that at the end of December, the director arrived and handed over the script for a one-man show. It looks like he hasn't even passed it yet, and he even calls the director every week. Min asked Chuck if Chuck shouldn't be busy since it was such a mess. Haley said his company, its CEO, admitted to something similar on the news. The head of the company is accused of fraud. The company is currently going through a crisis due to the fault of the previous director, who wasted the company's money. Chuck said, thank God he was put in jail. Only with the financial support of his sister and brother-in-law, he was able to take over the company with minimal losses. They should at least show their faces anyway. He wants to say that the photo of the little angel turned out to be simply unearthly. But Sammy screamed. He hated that photo, leaving behind a library of evil that couldn't be opened now. He focused on the library of goodness already available. So how could he not play the villain? Perhaps a good ability had flown by. He reread this book again and again, studied its pages several times. Sammy said nothing. Chuck asked what he was talking about. Sammy said nothing bad, and Sammy tried so hard not to use elf breath. Min laughed and said that he constantly sees new sides of Sammy. It's so interesting. During a meal, he may suddenly stand up and go to his room without even finishing his breakfast. Sammy didn't even wash his face before kindergarten. All his attention was occupied by the script. Chuck asked if he really behaved like that. It was a rare sight. Suddenly Haley received a notification and she said, the director will come to Korea. This September, filming of the second part of the movie Shadow Man will begin. With the participation of Sammy, of course. Sammy told the director that he had never successfully completed a single task. The director responded. They tried to postpone filming time and time again, but there was nothing more they could do. Sammy asked what to do with his role as a villain, especially since that photo is still being talked about. The director said they treasure him because Sam is like a Christmas angel. However, he hasn't given up yet. And if Sam practices so often that the script is completely worn out, so Sam shouldn't either, right? Asked the director. Sam perked up and said sure. Until he found a solution, he would have to use the Goblin Bell game, Sammy thought. And then he continues to train. Concentrating his breathing, he will definitely open this door. Having absorbed the energy emanating from the library, the good force that was forgotten and abandoned in a distant corner, raises her head and becomes alert, and removes all evil energy away. As expected, it's all quite confusing. Is it really impossible for two types of mana to coexist? Sammy asked. If he can't open the door to the library of evil in the future, then he will remain a third-rate actor. That he can't even play a villain. How can he become a superstar with all these limitations? Suddenly, Sammy felt something. He stood up and said, "We have to try again." Basic technique of demonic breathing. Absorb dark energy and combine it with light. Although both energies were still opposing each other within the boundaries of his body, something had changed this time. The new energy told the dark and the light that it was time to become friends and work together. After the creature appeared before the Library of Life and became a mediator between the two manas, Sammy was finally able to use the demonic breath skill. Sammy was happy with his success. When he suddenly saw the balls, he said that he had seen them somewhere before. Then he understood. What are the abilities that Sammy usually uses? It seems like a lot of positive energy. The ones Sammy used were cut in half. Sammy decided he needed to pick them up first. Luckily, they merged with him, and then Sammy asked if it was all because of the influence of two opposing forces. He felt like the duration of his abilities had also been cut in half. If the duration of the abilities grows along with the physical body of the owner, he does not think that he should think about it much. Everything will somehow be resolved on its own. But during filming, he needs to be extremely careful not to make a mistake when using his abilities. Be that as it may, this is a new beginning. Meanwhile, the director has been toiling over the script for 8 months already. Finally, the finale is in sight, although the director cannot say that he is completely satisfied with it. We need to move on. It's time to start a new episode. It's such a shame that most of Sammy's scenes were cut. But he's confident the film will still be a hit. And it looks like Sammy has leaked another workout video. His persistence deserves respect. The director watched the video and was impressed. And he flew to Korea, he apologized for the unexpected visit, and said that he just wanted to see for himself. Sammy and Haley said hello, the director said. Finally, Sam seems normal. In the past, Sam was such a good boy. Even if he did nothing now, it is barely perceptible. He is like a blank sheet on which he is free to draw in black or white. Well, the first hurdle has been overcome, Sam said. He put a lot of effort into achieving this. The director suggested starting the rehearsal. Sammy played, and the director looked at him intently. Then he said, "Not bad, to be honest. If the situation had not changed by the start of filming, he would have had to reduce his screen time. But now that his performance is at its best, there is no need to revise the script. Sam did a great job." Sammy told his parents. Min said it was great. Sammy added that he thought if he practiced more, he would get even better. And he will have more scenes in the film. Min asked what his Sammy will become if he is already doing so well. Soon, Sam will be able to organize fan meetings like his older brothers, right? Sam asked. What is it? Haley asked if Sammy remembered Chuck asking if she would take him with her, but Sam said he couldn't because he had to train. Come to think of it, were they doing well lately? He had completely forgotten about them, as he was busy with the issue of opening the Library of Evil, Sammy thought. His abilities have improved a level since the Christmas performance. It's worth checking again. Sam checked, but the system said no targets were detected. Then Sam wondered if the ability had reset when the balls fell. How much time has passed since then? It's not too late, right? Sammy shouted. He'll go. We need to leave right now. Min asked where he was suddenly going. Sammy shouted. To a fan meeting. He needed to meet with them and resolve this issue as soon as possible, Sammy decided. They arrived and were met by Chuck. Sammy immediately said that he wanted to meet the brothers. Chuck said the show was starting soon, so it would be a bit tough now. They'd see each other backstage during the break. Sam asked if they would sing in the first part. Chuck replied that they would perform until the very end. But in the second part, there will be other groups, Min said. Sammy really wants to cheer them up. Sammy thought that if he couldn't meet them twice, it was okay. He would definitely be able to during the break. Chuck led them into the hall and they sat down in their seats. The guys came out on stage and the fans began to greet them. Seth said that today they will start with their recently released song, the delicate notes of which will touch them deeply. Sammy wondered why exactly with her. And Kevin said that they hadn't seen each other for a long time. They worked so hard to be here today, so he hopes they enjoy it. Sammy thought he couldn't enjoy the performance because of the nerves. The guys started the performance, and Sammy quickly realized that they were doing surprisingly well, even without that skill. The show ended and Sammy and his dad came backstage. Kevin asked if Sammy enjoyed the concert. Min answered for Sammy, it was really cool, then asked Sammy to say hello to everyone. But Sammy just covered his face in embarrassment and thought, today he didn't use the orchestra conductor's connection, so why? Sammy's reaction puzzled the guys. They asked if someone had brought Sammy against his will, or if they were the ones who smelled, or if he had missed his nap. Min quickly replied, no, it wasn't like that. Sammy kept saying how much he missed his brothers. So, Min asked. Sammy nodded, the guys thought. He nodded reluctantly, but then Sammy said he wanted to ask something. Kevin asked what he was curious about. Sammy asked how they thought the performance went. Kevin responded, better than last time. How can I say he feels renewed? It had been a long time since he'd had so much fun on stage, Sammy thought, so they were having a good time. Seth said that for him too. For some reason it was so easy for his body. Probably it wasn't just him who found it easier to sing. Today it's in great condition, Sammy asked. Even better than at Christmas. Seth responded, it was great then too. As if someone was directing them in the right direction. As if a conductor's baton was prompting where to move and how to sing, and he couldn't shake the feeling that they should follow her. To perform even better, but now he feels much freer. Sammy thought, this is how sometimes you can adjust to the harmony of the melody by holding yourself back, and sometimes to give freedom to your personality, allowing the heart to guide every movement, and today Brown and Black have taken the second path. Seth called Sammy over and asked if he was upset because their performance was so emotional. If so, then there is no need to be sad. Even then, thanks to Sammy, he felt much stronger, Tim said. And today he is simply invincible, because Sammy came to support them. They could grab a bite to eat after the second part of the concert. Sammy likes ribs, the guys asked. Sammy was happy and said yes, it will be fun. Then the guys went back on stage. People in the audience were saying, isn't this performance wonderful if their concerts in the past were just perfect? Now each participant's personality seems to shine through, and they improvise so much. Today's concert is the best. Sammy was happy with everyone, and thought that now there is no need for this. Last September, the filming location of Shadow Man 2, New York, Sammy flew in with his dad. Min said this is the Empire State Building, which was once considered the tallest. Nara asked them to sit down and buckle up, then asked what Sammy wanted to do in New York. The aunt will be their guide until she returns to Los Angeles, Sammy said. Actors rehearsal. Min said, by the way, the director invited them to dinner. If Sammy is tired, he can refuse him. There will be other actors, Sammy asked. Yes, but who exactly? Min answered, Evan and Rachel from Shadow Man. They said there would be 2 of Sammy's future colleagues. Nara said they starred in a teen movie together a long time ago. Min asked if they could meet after the hotel. Sammy replied that it would be good. The guys were watching the movie Evil Spirit. The girl said she loved this scene. The acting was very good. Rachel asked if it was analysis time again. Evan replied that she should get to know her partner's skills better. Then Rachel asked, how is Sammy's acting? They say the kid is a genius actor. Evan said he disagreed. This kid is more special than they say. He's not just getting into character. Words seem to be born inside him. Can this be called an ordinary talent? Rachel said that since Evan says so, she wants to meet him in person sooner. Sammy came and said hello to the guys. Rachel said hello and said she would play his sister. Then Evan introduced himself and said that he would be playing the role of the Shadow Man and Poppy. The director introduced Sammy's dad. Min asked the guys to take care of his Sammy. Evan said he thought he should be the one asking for something like that. After watching the movie, he realized that Sammy was serious about playing him. And who knows, if he played like that, they could have buried him alive, Sammy asked. He was talking about the film The Shadow Man. Evan answered, no, it's about the evil spirit. He looked at it too. Evan asked, he pronounces everything correctly. I wanted to reproduce the title as it sounds in the original, Sammy replied. Yes, just perfect. Evan asked. He wanted to ask something, and asked what Sammy was thinking when he played. Sammy is one of those actors who thinks everything through and rehearses carefully, or he relies purely on intuition. When he played William, he heard that going up and down was his idea. That's true, Rachel said. Enough already. She doesn't see that Sammy is having a hard time answering all these questions. Evan apologized, Min thought. This is what they call a thorough investigation. Evan's method of acting involves detailed character analysis, as well as careful planning and practice. He plans even small details like hand tremors and facial muscle control in advance. The director and his fellow actors were always amazed by his meticulousness. Rachel said, okay, first we need to eat. Rachel asked what Sammy would like to eat. They would order a ton of his favorite foods. The director invited everyone to sit down at the table, and soon the children were brought food. Evan said, if you think about it, Sammy has grown noticeably since the last movie he was in. Sammy said he grew 10 centimeters. He is growing by leaps and bounds and is now the tallest of his classmates, Min said. Who knows, maybe he will even become the tallest in the elementary school. Sammy was the city itself. All thanks to the slime's digestion, it helps every cell of its body absorb the maximum amount of nutrients that it receives from food. Evan asked if he still wanted to ask a few questions, promising not to dump everything on him at once this time. Sammy replied, okay. Then Evan asked what Sammy thought about William, what he felt for him. Pity, sadness, but he's not William, is he? Sammy replied. No, no way, he's still Sammy. Evan thought. Sam is definitely special, Min asked. Maybe there are some problems. Rachel replied that the thing was that they watched the evil spirit and analyzed Sammy's playing style. And Evan said that Sam's acting is not method. The director added that Sammy's acting is completely different from his. Method acting has a significant drawback. The actor immerses himself too deeply in the character's emotions, which leaves an imprint on his personality. But in Sam's case, he is able to get out of this state without serious consequences. If he used the method, he would dissolve into the character, and he would remain William for the rest of his life. And if there was even the slightest sign of that, he should inform his guardians so that they would never allow him to engage in acting again. But Sam immediately returned to his normal state as soon as the filming ended, as if nothing had happened. He is only 5 years old, and cannot believe that he could smile so brightly after such a brilliant performance of such a role. After 8 months of practice, it dawned on him that an actor who could get so deeply into a role and then get out of it so quickly was the one and only Sam. Rachel asked Sam what he thought. Sam replied, as the director said, he doesn't think it's method acting, because he is still him whether he was playing William or during the filming of The Evil Spirit, or even when he played a child who was offended by the whole world for 8 months. He remained himself. So he doesn't think it's method acting, he's just really good at it. The boys laughed. Rachel said he was right, and Evan asked how Sam was playing the role. Sammy said he simply reads the lines or instructions, then checks to see if the character's personality is affected by the past. And then he decides how to play him, and allows his body to move freely, as in the case of William. It certainly looks like a method game, but it is not, and is perfectly fine. Sammy wondered if so, playing by method was an ability of this body, like the ability of other living beings. A skill that can be used when reincarnated in the next life, and because self-awareness is IT in the library of life. Unlike method acting, this body can easily and without problems get out of the role, right? And if it is an ability, then it can be transformed into a ball if he thinks about it. Sammy asked how Evan plays. Evan replied that he thinks everything through carefully. For example, around Makasi, an orphan. There are a lot of people. So he took this as a starting point to dig deeper. Whether it was due to his natural and bright character. Is he grateful for this? His train of thought is this. He conducts an analysis and goes deeper. So much so that he plans the direction of his gaze and the position of his feet. And if there is anyone around him who even slightly resembles Mac, he watches them closely. Even their minor habits can come in handy during filming, Rachel said. But with method acting, there is a dangerous effect of splitting the personality and confusing the real self with the emotions of the role. The same can be said for Evan Block's method if you plan everything in such detail each time. One day there will come a moment when he will feel that something is missing, and this missing fragment will also affect his reality. He had several cases where his meticulous observation caused problems in relationships. Sammy asked how Rachel acts. The director told Minu that Sammy has a natural talent for acting. He is a smart child, so he is confident that he will not do anything that could harm himself. Min said, but no matter how smart the child is, the parents will still worry. News: Shadow Man 2 filming begins in Central Park. Child actor Sam awaits the start in Central Park. Mac's greatest regret and a victim of the disaster, William will return to the screen. Wasn't there talk that he would be the main character? One look is enough to determine this little angel for the role of the hero. He really did grow a lot, although she was already sure that he was growing up quickly. Sammy entered the evil library and thought, as expected, he doesn't need the life experience from the evil library. It has many amazing, fearsome abilities, and among them he found a moderately bad and non-cursed skill. However, today he did not come for him. The light attribute is the graceful steps of the Baron's cat. The body is sharpened for elegant steps. The majestic, aristocratic manner, he will conduct himself with dignity. Now you can maintain correct posture without thinking, and similar animals will like it. The cat Baron was the pet of an aristocrat who taught etiquette. Even the queen applauded him, whose appearance and composure were more elegant than anyone else. He was also the first cat to be given the title of Baron. Time for a skill that leaves a good impression. So the filming began. Sammy used the skill of graceful steps of the Baron cat. Mac, or the Shadow Man, was walking in the park when he noticed a child and approached him. And he called. The boy turned around and Mac asked where his parents were. The child answered, "At home." Mac asked if the baby was lost. The child replied, "No, his family said they would come for him." Then Mac asked when they would come. The boy thought for a moment and answered when the sun set. Amy said that boy is really good at acting. Even from afar you can see how the atmosphere changes. But this kid doesn't look familiar, Jenny said. Yeah, right. Maybe they saw him in another movie. Amy looked at his face and remembered the photo Jenny had shown her. This is the same little angel that Amy would really like to thank Sammy if she ever met him. Will she ever be able to tell him this? Sammy was playing with the cat when Dad came. Min asked if it was fun to film. He was so busy with work that they saw each other less and less. He felt sorry. Sammy said not to worry. He was definitely having fun. There was even a zoo in this park. Min said that it seemed like the snow leopard really liked Sammy. It was all thanks to the skill. The director said, and people too. They are happy to see Sammy on screen. There are already enough posts on the internet about the appearance of the new character. Filming in the Central Park is part of the advertising campaign for The Shadow of a Man 2. And the most important scenes will take place here, but in greater secrecy. The commercial turned out great, and it's all thanks to Sammy. It seems like there's a fan of his on the set. The girl who introduced herself like this asked to give him a letter, and the director gave him the letter. The director said he had already checked it for dangerous items or indecent content. So Sam can read it, Amy wrote. The author of the letter said that she saw his photo of an angel when she was suffering from depression. It helped her with her treatment, although the author wrote in simple language so that even a child could understand. He still felt her gratitude and love in the lines. This photo really brought him a lot of inconvenience, but he is happy that it helped someone. Sammy asked his dad to put the letter in the bag. Sammy asked if they could recognize him. Hadn't he changed a lot? Min replied. Of course. After all, the Christmas photo is very popular. Then Sammy shouted, but they would probably forget him once they saw the movie. A few days later, the Marine Studio set, Sammy said, looked like a real tomb. Min said, that's right. He can't believe that it's just scenery, the technical staff and actors. Everyone is prepared. Filming began. Min asked if Sammy could handle it without unnecessary stress. Sammy answered, of course. The camera started filming. Sammy activated the graceful steps of the cat bear and ability again. Max said it was a memorial hall. It was built to honor the people who disappeared into a strange wormhole a year ago, and those who died that day. The baby is too young to remember. Around this same time a year ago, aliens invaded the Earth. They said they came from a place called Natra, and attacked the land under the pretext of searching for rebels. Countless people have been swallowed by the wormhole, but even heroes cannot save everyone. These are the consequences they faced. The boy pointed at the photo with a cold gaze and asked who it was. Mac replied, this child disappeared into a strange wormhole that day. The boy came closer and asked what was written here. The guy started reading. She regrets it every day. Why couldn't she run faster? She lives with the hope that if he were somewhere safe, she would be able to see him again. She's sorry she couldn't stay with him, Mom. She'll be waiting for him at home, so let him come back soon, William. Hearing the name, the boy froze. This was his hometown. This was him. He had a family. He could live here like this. Walking in the park, going to the zoo with his family, he could be happy. Evan felt this energy, the skill of the melancholic scent of a lonely flower. Within a radius of 10 meters, only this flower is capable of blooming. It looks like a weed, so no one will understand what it really is. And after inhaling its aroma, a person will plunge into melancholy. Evan wondered if there was suddenly some kind of uneasy atmosphere. Was this Sammy's game? The director shouted. Cut! Sammy quickly came back. The director told Sammy that he was too tense. Even with such immersion in the role, he immediately returned to his normal state after the scene was over. The director doesn't even look impressed, Evan said. Of course he knew Sammy was a genius, but at this level, especially at his age, he is an incredible talent, a real actor with a promising future. Filming continued, Sammy thought. This is the first time they're reshooting a scene. He overdid it with the ability. When he has enough mana in his body, he can use both light and dark attributes at the same time. However, he was too greedy this time. Maybe with the help of the breathing technique he could decide which abilities he wanted to demonstrate more. How should he play next time, Sammy thought. And Evan thought, even after the unsuccessful double, he did not lose confidence in himself. A good attitude. Sammy said it looks like Central Park. Min said they were able to recreate something similar. It's amazing how much effort was put into preventing spoilers, the director called Sammy. And he said that today's scene is the most important. This shoot will be a turning point. It will decide whether he will become a hero or a villain. It's influenced by the atmosphere that Sam creates, Sammy replied. Okay, we can start. Evan said the two get along great. The director really loves Sammy. Rachel said she would appreciate it too if she were him. Then Evan said that he had to be careful not to get out of character. Sammy's mood could change in an instant right during the game. Rachel asked. So that's why they're reshooting his scene. Now she's even more interested. The filming began. The girl shouted, Gene. She ran to the boy, and when she got there, she asked, where was he? She looked for him everywhere. Mac asked if she was his relative. The girl answered yes. "And who is he?" the girl asked, when suddenly she noticed the necklace. Suddenly, the atmosphere changed. Jin said he was adopted and always upset his parents, unlike his brothers and sisters. And despite this, he tried every time to gain his father's love. But his belonging to a different race became a hindrance. He did everything he could to overcome it. Mac thought what a terrible atmosphere it was. And Jin screamed, but what? His life was right here. His father took everything from him. The happiness that could have belonged to him. Parents who would have loved him despite his abilities. He took away his real family. Mac became more nervous and shouted, "Natra!" And Jin answered, "That's right. He is the son of the king of Natura, Jin Natra." The girl asked him to stop. People and animals in the park suddenly passed out. Then Mac shouted what he was doing. Jin chuckled and said, "He knows who Mac is after all. He wasn't affected by his aura. Let him look at these shadows trembling beneath him. He was here too, 5 years ago. He is right. He tried to stop Natra. He is a shadow man, but why didn't he do it? He had to win and he had to save him." Having said this, Jin burst into tears. After all, he lost everything. A happy childhood, parents who loved him, and a place where he could return. Mac remembered William and asked if he was that child, but it had only been a year. How could that be possible? The genie's sister said that time flows differently in Natra and on Earth. It's time to return. But Mac shouted, "His parents are waiting for him. They will be happy when they know he is alive." Jean asked, "With this body?" Mac replied, "They would accept it. They loved him so much Jean hadn't lost everything." "He could come home," Mac urged. He called William again, but he looked down and turned around. Mac continued calling for William. Then the boy turned around and said, "No, he is Jean Natra." The director shouted, "Cut!" Then Sammy activated the Young Angel's fan. This fan has a high chance of removing status anomalies from the target. Sami was glad that he had discovered such a good ability. With it, he could use dark attributes without any problems. The Lonely Flower ability works by spreading scent, meaning it shouldn't have much of an impact on viewers. But the film crew is a different matter. Rachel walked up to Sammy and said he played so well, she almost cried. The director called Sammy and gave him a thumbs up. Sammy was immediately happy that he did a good job. Evan laughed and said that every time he saw him like this, it seemed like he was a completely different person. At such moments, he is no different from ordinary children. The director asked if Sam wanted to see how action scenes were filmed. He will show him the real possibilities of this chroma key. The Shadow Man got ready, and the director shouted, "They started." This is the main part of the superhero movie, the battle scene. Rachel asked if Sammy wanted to look at the Shadow Man up close. "He looks like Evan, right?" Rachel asked. Sammy asked, "Isn't that him over there?" Rachel said. "Actually, it's a stuntman. Evan himself is below. They rarely do action scenes themselves. It would be a huge problem if the actor got injured." Evan went to a special school, so he performed many of his own scenes. Sammy's eyes lit up and he said he wanted to try it too. Rachel laughed and said Sammy was clearly interested. If he wants to act in films more often, it would be great to start physical training from now on. And if he tries, he will squeeze in to shoot action scenes more often than Evan. A couple of days later, at the airport, Evan told Sammy to be careful on the way home. Rachel asked him to take care of himself. And if he ever comes back to the US, be sure to call him. Sammy asked him to be careful during filming. The guys said goodbye, and Sammy and his dad went on. Min asked if Sammy liked the filming. Sammy replied that it was more fun. If only Mom could come. He wants to go on the set again. Min asked if they had just finished these and he already wanted more. Sammy answered and asked if he could try Taekwondo. Soon Sammy was already in Taekwondo classes. His parents were proud of him and filmed him on their phones. Min asked if it was because he was their child. Didn't their son's stance look perfect? The man snuck up behind him and said, "They are absolutely right. They should make a professional athlete out of him. Sami is really good. He is simply wonderful. He grasps everything on the fly. He is able to immediately repeat an element." The parents were bursting with pride. Min said, "Yes, Sammy is quite smart." But the coach shouted sharply, "To say it. Enough to say nothing. Strength, he has it. Agility, it has been with him since birth. As for flexibility, there is nothing to say here. The cherry on the cake is his concentration and confidence. These qualities cannot be acquired through training." It seems the man got carried away too much. The guy asked the master to stop and said that it didn't matter how long the master would try to persuade them. Sammy is not going to become an athlete. He has already become a famous actor. Sammy said hello to his mom and dad. And the master asked what he was talking about. What kind of actor? The instructor asked. The master had not heard of an evil spirit or a shadow man. Haley said it was time to say goodbye and go home. Sammy said goodbye to the masters and left. Then Haley said she knew their Sammy was good, but she didn't expect him to go on to become an athlete. "I wonder who the baby turned out to be," asked Haley. "Another past life. They say that even a dog can read poetry if you give it enough time to observe the poet." He had been the pet of the youngest son of the Huangbo family for 10 years, the man said. It seems like he brought this dog back with him again. The guy answered. Of course he is his friend, the man asked. To carry such a creature with you, and even call him a friend, people will consider it extremely stupid. Another guy said, don't talk like that, the master knows how smart he is. The friend said not to worry, he doesn't really hate him. He's just jealous that he's being taken care of so much. Thanks to the protection of the youngest son of the Huangbo family, who received all the love of the clan, he was able to go anywhere. Although he sometimes had to deal with family members who were irritated by him, one day they were attacked. The men said it was a shame, nothing personal. Age didn't matter, he just couldn't let him live. Considering how his family died, the path to the afterlife won't be too lonely. But as soon as the man swung the blade at the boy, the dog Sammy attacked him. He was ready to defend his friend. The dog bit off the man's hand. The boy took the chance and ran away. The man said he would appreciate his loyalty, but he could not lose to the beast. Later, when he read the book, it turned out that the group that attacked the Huangbo family was sent by a demonic cult. With all the brothers dead, the youngest son, who became the head of the family, drew his sword to take revenge on the demonic cult. Sammy hoped that he had done well and had found himself a new friend, thanks to the care he had shown him when Sammy was a dog. He awakened a very useful ability. His friend is probably still a great host. Sammy easily replicates many fist techniques and martial arts, thanks to his friends. Shadow Man 2, big screening in mid-March, starring Korean Hollywood star Sam. Rachel Hill and Evan Block reunite, hero or villain, mystery figure. The external image clearly suggests a hero, but due to frequent references in advertising, he begins to seem like a villain. No, it's just a way to get people interested because they like this type of villain with a kind face. It makes sense that such a villainous role would be difficult to include in the film. They are looking forward to the mid-March. Sammy put on the backpack and Min said it was light, durable, wouldn't get dirty much, Haley said. But the sky blue gave it a fresh look. He's cute too. Sammy chose that one and Min said, now that they've chosen a backpack, they need to choose stationery. Happy Sammy said that Uncle Hank would make a pencil case, and Uncle also said that he would give away all the dolls that could fit in the bag. As a gift for entering elementary school, Min said that thanks to his uncle, Sammy will become even more popular. Sammy asked what notebook cover is best, Haley asked. Sam is so looking forward to starting school. Then Sammy smiled sweetly and said, yes, very much, Sammy, 8 years old, has finally entered primary school. As the new school year began, Sammy said goodbye to his parents and ran to his class. His friends, the girls Cherry and Minnie, and also Chip and Daly, all his friends from kindergarten, were already waiting for him there. Sammy said hello to the girls, and Minnie asked what kind of squirrel it was. The unicorn was so cute. Then Sammy asked if they wanted to see something cooler than a unicorn and pulled out his phone. The guys said it was a smartphone. Sammy bought a phone. How cool. Sammy was happy too. Cherry said that Sammy is already like an adult, taller than all of them, and he even has a phone, just like an adult. Chip said, come on, what adult would walk around with a unicorn on their backpack? The teacher came into the classroom and greeted everyone. She is their class teacher. And also, everyone who brought a phone to school must hand it in. Sammy realized at that moment that school was unfair. At home, Sammy's parents celebrated his birthday. Sammy's fans even sent gifts. The guy thought they wanted Sammy to start doing music. He hopes Sammy will continue acting, although he doubts he was even thinking about ending his career. The guy looked at the poster. The girl said he was definitely a hero. It was obvious from his appearance. Her friends said these are all stereotypes. The atmosphere of the movie is cool. The weird thing is that they filmed it all outside. They probably didn't show those scenes because he's the villain. The guy attacked the girls again with screams. And isn't it interesting how William returned to Earth after he got into the wormhole? Then he apologized for being harsh, and the girl said, I agree. As soon as the details of the strange wormhole's appearance are finally revealed, fan theories will definitely change. The two were so engrossed in discussing the movie that they didn't notice the star of the movie, Sammy, had come with Hank. Hank said the poster looks so cool. Everyone is going to go crazy when they find out who he really is. They walked into the hall and the guy thought, he never thought that a child would come to see this film. But why this baby looks so familiar? He won't be able to understand just by looking at the back of his head. The film started and the guy's attention turned to the screen. Someone was saying how pathetic he was. He couldn't even do this. Let him remember. They dragged him in from the street. What can he do if he is not one of them? William, sucked into the wormhole, grew up on the planet as John Natra, he who was on the planet. Where time flows faster than on Earth, he came down to people in the form of the heir of King Natra, and eventually met a good man named Mac. However, he regains memories of himself before he became Jin. The idea that he could have been happy made him go crazy with rage. And once he realized that Mac was the Shadow Man, everything he had been holding inside came out in an instant. The parents who lost him and the hero who couldn't save him, all the hardships he had to go through. They were because of his father, from whom he always wanted to receive recognition and love. But before they disappeared again, another pretender to the throne appeared in the Central Park with his army. To attack Gina Natra, the girl shouted how they could attack innocent people. She had to help them. The girl asked what Jin was going to do. This was his last chance to become a hero. But at that moment, the Shadow Man saved the little girl and returned her to her parents. It made him go crazy, Jin said. And he's not bad, so if he's so good here, then why? Why didn't he save him? The deeper this pain became, the faster a new demon was born. The guy thought, weren't movies about heroes funny? He became so emotional that now he can't even stand up. Post-credits scene, Red Boy appeared out of nowhere and extended a helping hand, and the Shadow Man accepted it. What will happen in the next movie? The boy thought when he heard the voices. It was funny, wasn't it? He's a good boy, really? Asked Sammy. Hank replied, of course he's a good boy, and asked what he wanted for dinner. Then the guy thought, he's wrong. He just saw Sammy from the movie. It's been 2 weeks since the release of Shadow Man 2, but the excitement from the film's final scene hasn't died down. The guy greeted the movie fans and said that in today's video he will be reviewing Shadow Man 2 and the post-credits scene. Before they dive right into the plot, it's time to take a look at the cast. This is Sammy, the same kid who can play everything from a wonderful angel to the main villain. And this was a very unexpected role for such a kind Sammy. Many, like him, were shocked by such a transformation. Also, some of the twists were even more unexpected given Sam's image, but he put in a good performance. He has similar feelings. Jin Natra has a really hard past. Kidnapping, discrimination, and a sense of betrayal, because the father he loved so much was the cause of his suffering. On the other hand, Mac is a character who came from Natra to Earth completely by accident, and, thanks to the kind people around him, received a lot of love, despite the fact that he grew up in an orphanage. It can be said that Jin Natra and Mac lived completely differently, and who knows how they will treat Jin when he returns to Natra. It seems to him that this will play an important role in the future. But now we can talk about another job. Sammy looked in the mirror and thought he was worried that his front teeth were about to fall out. He walked up to his mom, and Haley asked what Sammy wanted to eat, but Sammy was confused and held out his hand. And he said that his front tooth fell out? Later, Min said that his son's teeth had finally started to change. Min kindly asked his son to show his teeth to his dad, but Sammy sullenly replied that he didn't want to. Haley said he seemed a little out of sorts after she took a lot of cute photos of him. She held out a handkerchief and told Sammy to take it. Min asked what it was. Sammy replied it was his front tooth. The teacher said that if you put a lost tooth under your pillow, the tooth fairy will take it and leave a coin in return. Haley said they also say that if you throw your lost tooth off the roof, a new one will grow. That night, Haley said, he fell asleep quickly. Min said his son had a hard day because of the loss of a baby tooth. The parents admired their baby, then wished him sweet dreams, and Sammy was in the library. He became so curious to learn more about tooth fairies that he couldn't wait another minute. He didn't know why this story in the library was evil, but he was too curious about what fairies do with lost teeth. Once upon a time, there lived tooth fairies. They took children's fallen teeth, and they ate them in one bite. The fairy who ate the tooth turned into its owner, and she lived with the child's family, pretending to be him. Sammy clearly didn't expect such a terrible story. Sammy woke up in fear and began to rummage around in his bed in a panic to get his tooth. But instead of a tooth, he found money. Then the happy Sammy went to bed and said it must have been the good tooth fairy. Poor Min was under the bed and thought, good thing he didn't get caught. Why did Sammy jump up so suddenly? The next day, Sammy was offered a cameo role. It's not a very significant character. Not particularly relevant to the main plot, but still, it would be nice if Sam appeared in his new drama, Chester said. Sammy showed his teeth and asked, "Oh, is it okay if something like this happened to him here?" Chester laughed and said, "Everything is fine. It will be even better for the hero." This is the role of a boy from elementary school who tells him the license plate number of a car that got into an accident. Then Chester said to think about it and contact him. He would buy Sammy something tasty the next time they saw each other. Haley said one look at his uncle was enough to tell he was about to ask about it. Sammy said yes it will. Chuck came in and asked, "So how did the meeting go?" Haley said everything was great, and she thanked him for allowing her to use his room for negotiations. Chuck replied, "It's nothing. They can ask him any time and for anything." And then Chuck asked. They thought about an agency for Sammy. Sammy smiled and said yes, he decided, and named his uncle's company. Haley said that while Sammy is still little, it would be better if he stayed with people he trusted. Besides, it seemed like Chuck had already signed the contract in his heart, Haley said, pointing to the photo in the hall. Chuck sheepishly replied that it was because he was very proud of his nephew. Then Sammy said that there was one condition. He will work at his uncle's company until he enters high school. Then he will go to an agency where he will be best taken care of and will be responsible in his work, which the company offers. But if he doesn't like something, he won't take on such a project. Contracts for filming abroad should be considered separately and should not be tied to new actors. Finally, contact would resume when he graduated from high school. Sammy asked what his uncle thought. Still wanted to sign a contract with him. Chuck replied, "Of course, Sam the actor." Sam asked him to take care of him, and they shook hands. Later, Sammy was eating at a restaurant with Chester. He said, "Everything looks so delicious. Thanks for dinner." Chester said he should eat well to have a fun day. Then his mother would feel free to let Sammy go with them. Haley asked if he could really be sent alone. Chester said, "Sure, no need to worry. He and his manager will take good care of him so that Haley can just relax." Sammy thought, it seems like he's dating his manager even after filming overtime work. But they seem to be quite close. I wonder if he will be able to spend time with his manager like this in the future. Sammy was eating, and his aunt said that she saw that the boy liked it. It was on the house. She gave him a soda, and Chester said, "The baby mukbang champion is really on another level." After the restaurant, Chester asked where they would go next, now that they were no longer hungry. "Maybe Sammy likes slot machines," the manager asked. "Does he think today's youth still play such games?" Suddenly, some man stopped Sammy and asked if he had a free minute. Then Chester pulled Sammy towards him, and the manager stood in front of Sammy and the man. The manager asked if something had happened. Sammy was impressed, he thought. So this is what he is like, a real top manager. Amazing. The man said he was not weird. He wanted them to see the play. "She's for kids too." Chester asked how Sammy thought of the idea. Didn't want to take a look. The man said the cast was good, and the plot is interesting. So he is sure they will like it. They will not be disappointed. If they buy tickets from him, he will give them a discount of 40%. Chester said, "Okay." The man said, "Okay." He's sorry for wasting their time. But Chester said, 3 tickets for the play, he will pay full price. "How much is it from him?" asked Chester. The man beamed with happiness and asked if everything was really okay. Chester replied, "Of course. He loves the theater." Sammy thought Chester was cool. Meanwhile, at the theater, the guy said he was shocked at how many tickets they sold today. "At this rate, they won't be able to play anything even today," the actor said sadly. The man suddenly said, "Son just managed to sell 3 tickets, 1 for children and 2 for adults. They wouldn't have been able to sell even 3 tickets if they hadn't been counting on the general public. There is no time to relax and breathe a sigh of relief. These viewers said they would pay full price for tickets." The boys came to the theater and were met. Chester thought she must be one of the artists who came to check in case they left. They sat down, and Chester said it had been a long time since he had seen a production in a small theater like this one. "What about Sammy?" Chester asked. Sammy replied that he had managed to see a couple of productions in the US. But now he is even more impatient, because this is the first time he is watching a play in Korea, and the actors were nervous. The guy said that the boy had great hopes for their production, and that they needed to show him their best acting. The play began. The title of the play was Our Neighbor. The man shouted, "Is it her?" The swindler with a long tongue. The girl said she was a private detective, not a liar. The man said he was the head of their district. His job was to make sure everyone wanted to live here. The detective said she also heard that the area had a lot of debt, which was suspicious. The man said, "He told me that she was not a detective but a real estate agent." Sammy watched the production with joy. It was a relatively weak production. Sammy understood that. And the plot and acting weren't the best, but he felt their energy with his whole body, and how much they enjoy what they do, just like he did in his first life. The performance ended. The actors bowed, and the girl asked why she was crying. One actor asked if they wanted to take a photo with the actors. Sammy said yes. The manager said it might be a bit of a problem. Chester said, "What can you do?" They liked the production. Besides, Sammy had already gone up on stage. The guy looked at Chester and thought, how familiar he looked. The one in sunglasses is the actor Chester, and this child is Sam, a Hollywood star. The girl said, "It's them, the celebrities Chester and Sammy." She told Sammy that she's his fan. The manager said he would take a photo of them. He asked to borrow a camera. The actors gave him the phone. The actors got together and took a photo together. The girl asked to send her the photo. The man replied yes and asked if it was okay if he posted the photo online. Sammy immediately responded that he didn't mind, and Chester thought about it and said that he didn't mind. But celebrity promotion would only complicate things. It could attract a lot of unwanted attention, considering that Sammy is a hotly debated figure right now. The level of gossip will be very high, whether they will cope. Sammy did not understand anything. Then the man said that they had been performing to an empty audience for the 3rd day in a row, if no one had come today. Perhaps they would all have to leave the show. Some of their colleagues had already given up hope. But they love working in the theater and want to continue doing it. And thanks to them, for the first time in a long time, he felt hope. And she would help them through all the trials. Sammy still couldn't understand why uploading one photo required so much determination. The girl said she would try to live up to the expectations of those people who trust their authority. And if they don't mind, you can find out their opinion about their game after you've seen the performance. If there was something missing, they could share advice. Chester wasn't sure, but Sammy said he was interested too. Then Chester agreed to discuss the play. The photo went viral. People started writing. He's a big fan of Sam's, and he lives close by, so he went to the theater. Almost all the tickets were sold out, and the play was absolutely hilarious when the performance was over. They were able to talk to the actors, and all the questions they were asked were about Chester and Sam. They must have expected something like this, because they answered everything without hesitation. It was strange that they only talked about the actors, and not about the play at all. If you want to become a popular actor, be ready to pay such a price. Hopefully now they will have their own fans. Sammy looked at the phone and said that he didn't say anything like that. They wrote on the internet. Hollywood actor Sam is delighted with the play. Chester said being a celebrity means attracting a lot of attention, and his personal life will be the subject of more such clickbait headlines. Sammy asked Chester if he thought the elders could handle it. Chester replied that he just had to believe in them. And I asked if maybe they should go and greet the director. Sammy said okay. Looking at Chester, Sammy asked why he was smiling like that. Chester replied that he just told him that he was bringing the baby for a cameo. But he didn't mention who exactly. Everyone knows the director for his love for the Marine studio. He'll be scared to death. So the two little devils scared the poor director. The poor director screamed in shock. The girl said the director is a big fan of Sam. The director's name is Manson, and she is Ume, a writer. But he definitely agrees to this role. He won't have a line, and he will only appear in one scene, Ume asked. Sammy replied, yes. Chester showed him the script. If the script hadn't interested him, he wouldn't have agreed. He also liked the director's previous project. He watched it in America. Manson immediately perked up and asked if the actor Sam had watched his work. Sammy said that Chester is a great actor and he will also be filming. Chester thanked him for the compliment. Said that then it would be worth keeping Sam's appearance in the film a secret, at least until filming began. If they don't mind, they'll give Sammy a tour of the set, introducing him as their nephew to fool the others. Later, Chester told Sammy to wait quietly while his uncle worked. The manager brought chairs and they sat down nearby. Sammy thinking, Chester is definitely a great actor. Even the director, who is his fan, behaves normally during filming. Suddenly the manager asked Sam if he knew why Chester asked him to do a cameo. Sam asked if it wasn't because he was a good actor. The manager responded, that's partly why. But no, actually, Sam is right. He knows Chester wants to star with Sam in a lot of projects. He said that Sam seemed to be only interested in feature films, and he would like to show Sam one. That filming in TV series is so exciting, Sammy asked. So why? The manager replied. Chester often plays in dramas, and if Sam is interested in both films and TV series, then there is a good chance that they will be able to end up in the same project. Sammy asked why he didn't just ask him to star in the same movie he was acting in. The manager replied that Chester hoped that one day they would both think the project was good and accidentally end up on it together. Then Sammy asked what he should do then. What if he also wanted to play with him? Like that time when they both put their efforts into the project with such enthusiasm, and what happiness they got from working together. Together with actors who love to act and long for it. For those who are in love with their profession, the manager said that he thinks they should just star in the projects they like. Chester will never give up his job. Not in 10 years, not in 20 years. And the same can be said about Sammy, right? The manager asked. And he was obviously thinking what his answer would be. Even if he hasn't said anything yet, this kid is still so young. But he has the same look as Chester, Sammy replied. Yes, he will continue to do this for a long time. The next day, Sammy changed his clothes and introduced himself. People said that's what they thought. And they said that he was a nephew. So, their cast now includes an actor worth 10 million, maybe even more. Sammy greeted the director and Chester asked if he would have to miss classes because of filming. Is that okay? He's at that age now where he needs to have fun, Sammy said. He doesn't worry about missing out. He's more worried about whether it will be noisy. The opening ceremony was quiet. But after Shadow Man 2 came out, everyone started asking him for an autograph. If he gives in once, he will not be left alone. He cannot give his autograph or the autograph of other actors to those who do not know him. By the way, he still hasn't met another child actor, Sammy thought. High school is the place where actors can begin to specialize in the performing arts, because filming often requires them to miss classes. But there is no other way. They shouted to Chester that filming was starting. Then Chester told Sammy that it was time for him to go, and that he should come when he was free. He left and Sammy was daydreaming about Juice when Ume called him and asked if it was probably boring waiting alone. When they finished filming this scene, it would be his turn. She asked him to be patient. Pointed to the boy and said, Sammy will be filming with that boy. Maybe he will come and say hello, asked Sammy looked at the boy playing and thought, he plays well. The boy introduced himself. He is Shin, plays on the football team, and is in the 6th grade of elementary school. Sami asked. Football team, Shin proudly answered. Yes. He dreams of becoming a professional athlete. Then Sami thought, he can't believe they hired an entire football team for such a short scene. The manager became a nanny again. Shin said he got bored waiting for the filming to start. He wants to play. Sami asked if they could. Shin replied yes. He was allowed to kick the ball, but only on open courts. Shin asked if Sam had played football before. Sami replied no, never. So Shin told Sami to try kicking once. Sam hadn't played football before, of course, but he had played something like this before. The golden seal collects the shell of the golden egg he broke to create a ball. He carries it with him for the rest of his life. So there is no one who controls the balls better than him. Sam started playing, and Shin wondered if these were the skills of a man who had never played football before. The children started playing together, and the film crew watched them. Ume said, "They play great." Shin is one of the top 5 students in Korea's elementary school, and is often invited to appear on TV shows. The director said they were so carried away that he felt sorry to call them to film the scene. It was obvious they were having fun. So they decided to shoot this scene too. In the evening, Sami made paper carnations for his parents and gave them to them. Sami told his parents that he loved them. His parents hugged him, and also said that they loved their son very much. Haley looked at her son and wondered when their child had grown so much. They receive a carnation and a letter every year, but each time Sami gives them to them with a different expression on his face. Thinking about this, Haley cried, May 8th is Parents' Day in Korea. On this day, children give them gifts and flowers, most often roses and carnations. A touching scene in the family. Min noticed the box and asked Sami why Sami made so many paper carnations. Sami replied that he wanted to give them to other people too. Min was surprised and asked, to his grandfather and grandmother. Then Sami said yes, and also his uncles, the older ones from Brown and Black, Aunt Nara, Chester, Hank, Director Damien, Director Wall. He wants to thank so many people, wants to give everyone gifts to show how grateful he is. The parents were touched by Sami's kindness. Min hugged his son tightly and said it was so great that their son was such a mature thinker. However, he doesn't want his son to grow up so quickly. Haley joined in their hugs, and the whole family started laughing. After some time, Shin said, "The 5th episode is starting," someone said. "They will see how well Shin plays." The boy asked if he would be able to understand the plot if he looked from the middle. Another said the first episodes were also cool, and so their friend and Sami appeared on the screen. The boy asked who was next to Shin, another talented footballer. He was really good. The coach was also surprised at how well Sami played. He thought that even Shin couldn't do that when he started playing. Then Chester came up to the children and asked, since children often play here, maybe they saw yesterday's car accident. After which the driver disappeared. Shin answered no, and Sami said that he saw it. The boys recognized Sami and shouted, "That's Sam! He played the Shadow Man in the movie." Then the coach thought that this child was supposed to become the talent that would lead the country's team into a bright future. Min said, "The title is Sam is being reinvestigated. It looks like he is a criminal." Sami just laughed. And Min said, and another topic of discussion was his football skills. Maybe they could play together sometime. Haley said she hopes his next project will be a TV series again, as most movies end after 1 episode. And TV series are often extended for another season. Although it doesn't matter, it must be more complicated. It depends on the script. She asked what project Sami would like to star in next, a movie or a TV series. Sami thought about it and said, neither one nor the other. He wants to try something new. At the company's office, the guys were getting calls from different companies and were offered different roles. But staff explained that Sam is currently turning down offers to appear on the show. Then the man said, actor Sam said he wanted to act in a theater production. The guy introduced himself. His name was Dean. Sami also introduced himself, and Dean said that he was pleased to meet him. Haley thought, this guy is obviously a fan of his. Sami thought. Surprisingly, there are so many good people around him. If it is just a coincidence, then it doesn't matter much. But what if it is the influence of divine energy? I wonder what effect will happen after the evil energy increases. Sami sighed. Chuck said. And yet he believes that he will become a great manager, because he knows how to separate his personal life and work. Haley replied that she simply asked him to review 1 or 2 scripts that they received, and he looked at them all. Dean said these were the scripts that were sent to their agency. He analyzed them, brought them in case it would help. Sami asked if he also enjoyed reading scripts. Dean replied yes, his dream is to help actors. Then Sami asked if Dean wanted to read the scripts they sent him. Dean said sure. Haley looked at the guys and said, it seems that Dean is very suitable for Sami. Min came in the evening. Sami happily ran to his dad. Min hugged his son and asked for Dean. Sami said that his manager had arrived. Dean said hello and said he was glad to meet him. Min also said hello and said he was Sami's dad. Min asked what happened at school today. Sammy replied that he played football on the playground, and also handed in a bunch of presentations. Chuck asked what he thought of him. Working with Sammy was easier than it seemed, right? Dean answered, yes. Then Chuck said Dean must have been worried his expectations would be shattered. Considering how many rude and arrogant actors he'd met in the past, Dean replied that he couldn't deny it. Chuck said that among the Sammy family's acquaintances there is a man named Hank, and if any questions arise regarding management, they can contact him. Then Chuck, like Uncle Sammy, asked Dean to take care of Sammy. Dean replied he would try his best. Haley said there weren't many theater plays that Sam could act in. Most roles had height or age requirements. Hank said maybe because the roles were written for kids, they don't have a lot of lines. Sammy said that in that case he might have no choice but to write a play himself that he liked. The idea is not bad. He already has connections with talented actors and directors. All that remains is to find a good story. Hank said that he thought about this one. The play is for children and young actors, there are no adults, and the production will only be shown during the summer holidays. As far as he could tell, there seemed to be no lower age limit, Dean asked. That project. Their team analyzed it too, but he doesn't think it's a play Sam would want to play. Sam thought, in other words, not his level. Sam asked if his uncle had this script with him. Hank replied, yes, on the desktop. It says to look at the number of lines, and then fill out a form indicating the role you want to apply for. Dean wondered if it was worth choosing a project that was sure to be a box office flop if the play didn't have any famous actors, director, or writers. Sammy was watching the show. There was that actor from the play, our neighbor, the host asked. He heard they moved to a new theater. The actor replied, yes, the actors are still a little awkward. It's their first time performing on such a big stage. The presenter said the play became famous through word of mouth when news spread that famous actors had seen it. They keep in touch. The actor looks down in embarrassment, and Sammy thinks his expression is not too happy. That's exactly what he was afraid of back then. Sammy called Chester, and he said, everything is fine. They must have agreed to the interview, because the flow of viewers began to decrease. Instead of putting more effort into his work, he decided to ride on the fame of their names. No matter how much you love the theater, running it requires money, effort, or fame. In such a difficult matter, he chose fame. Besides, the audience's tastes are fickle, so there is no need to worry. The excitement will soon die down, Sammy replied clearly, and thanked Chester for enlightening him. Sammy thought, the main character, he was always in the spotlight, but he was also familiar. What it's like to be a minor character is a bit draining, no matter how much he loves the acting yoke. This feeling eats up all the positive emotions. No one likes to play when someone outshines you. Only a person who truly loves acting will become stronger under such circumstances. Hank asked if Sammy had studied all the roles. Sammy said yes, he liked this one. Dean asked which one. Sammy confidently answered, Blue Dragon. Hank laughed. Sammy said all the roles were amazing, but he liked the Blue Dragon the most. The proud uncle thought he knew this day would come. Sammy loved to play monsters from an early age. But Sammy had only just learned to walk at the time, and he thought that such roles could only be played in Hollywood fantasy films. Can't believe this day has come, Hank asked. This is not the main role. There are fewer lines than the other characters. Dean asked if Sammy was okay with the audience only hearing his voice. Sammy replied, yes, he liked it. Later, Hank asked what Dean was unhappy with. Even if the role was small, Sammy liked it. There are a lot of kids who dream of being on stage, but they don't have an audience, so they write their own plays. Since this is a new experience for them, they are accepting applications from experienced child actors. It is a wonderful initiative, and wouldn't it be great that Sammy will be able to take part in it? Dean replied that it wasn't that. He didn't know how to support Sam in the future. His criteria for choosing roles were not at all what he expected. Hank replied, yes, it's worth thinking about. Firstly, Sam will never do what was forced upon him. And if he is fired up by something, he will definitely achieve it. It is a secret. But for filming the movie Shadow Man 2, Sammy rehearsed one script for 8 months. This is how far he is willing to go to achieve his goals. This kid always puts in a lot of effort. As he probably already knows, Sammy doesn't care about box office receipts at all. He says any script will do as long as it's interesting. Suddenly, Sammy opened the door and said sadly, he doesn't want to play this. Dean asked why. What happened? Hank thought he knows. Sometimes Sammy does things that seem pointless. But it's not like him that, for heaven's sake, just a minute ago he was so excited. Cherry asked if Sammy was sick. Sammy replied no, he was just deep in thought. Sammy replied, he's a celebrity, the twin said. Sam is a superstar, Sammy replied. He was worried that if he played, everyone would come to look only at him. The twin asked if that was bad, Sammy answered. But he thought, imagine, wouldn't it be sad if everyone loved only Chip? Dale asked if Mom and Dad would only love Chip too, then he started crying. Cherry scolded Sammy for making Dale cry. Sammy said no, Mom and Dad love both of them. But the uncle in the supermarket and the aunt at the kiosk would only love Chip. Dale only cried harder. Then Chip said that he also liked it when he and Dale were treated equally. Sammy replied that he hoped that the people who would watch would like more than just him, but the rest of the actors who play with him. Then Minnie asked, Chip and Dale are twins. Maybe they should switch places every day. Then people will like them one by one. Cherry asked why suddenly. Because everyone will like Chip, Minnie asked. But people won't understand where Chip is and where Dale is. Won't the problem be solved if they just swap names? But for some reason Sammy perked up. He thought, sure, this should work. He went home and told his mom that he had a great idea. Haley asked yes and what. Sammy asked if he could hide his name. Haley asked why he would suddenly hide it. Sammy replied that he doesn't want to be the center of attention in a children's play. Everyone wants to be the main character. But if word gets out that he's in it, a lot of people will come to watch just because of him. The situation would be different if it were a commercial project in which a celebrity was invited to boost sales. But it's a children's play. Sammy asked why he didn't participate under a different name. Dean asked if Sam wanted to use a stage name in this play. Sam said yes, and he had already thought of one. Then Dean asked if he really wanted to do this. He still had to put his real name on the application. And if he is accepted, he will start going to rehearsals. Then in any case, they will see his face. They should know this. Milky Way Center, one of the largest theaters in Seoul, for training child actors. This year, the project will be implemented in the form of an experimental production. This is the play bomb. Since this is their first attempt, they take into account the level of preparation and consider children who have already played in theater and cinema. In the first stage of selection, they received more applications than they expected. This is because many want to become the second Sam. Then the woman saw Sam's application. The guy next to her said, surprisingly, the guy applied for the role of the Blue Dragon, where only a voice is required. He even wants to use his stage name. He asked what the headmistress thinks. The headmistress said that first they need to hold an audition. They are not trying to make money on this play. It is for children, so there is no reason why actor Sam cannot participate, especially with all that experience under his belt. Children, even just playing with him, will be able to learn something new. The day of auditions for roles in the children's play bomb. Sammy was handed a piece of paper and told that this was his audition number, and that when it was announced later, he should come out. He's more ordinary than she thought, people said. She thought he would have some kind of aura about him, even when he was just standing there. The employee said they could leave once the audition was over, and they would contact them individually later. Sammy walked into the room and ran to the chair, and Dean said, "It's going to be on a real stage, because many of the participants have never performed there. And it's also a test of whether you can play without fear. Even if your role is only voice acting, you will have to coordinate with other actors while performing behind the scenes on stage." Sammy thought, well, if you're afraid of the stage without an audience, then you definitely won't be able to go out on stage in front of a full house. He said he thought the stage would be smaller. Dean asked how it was in a small theater. Being so close to the audience was a little dangerous. Sammy asked why. Dean laughed nervously. And he said that people from the audience could interrupt the play or throw something onto the stage. Sammy asked, and it happens. Dean replied sometimes. So for safety, they usually leave a little distance between the audience and the stage. Then Sammy asked Dean if he thought everything was okay with those guys at the Wind Theater. Dean replied that he hadn't heard of any serious accidents happening at that theater. So he thinks they're okay. There were probably some minor incidents, but they're all adults. Sammy asked how Dean knew so much. Dean replied that it was part of the manager's job from the start, because his job is to be responsible for things that no one knows about and that the actors don't care about. The Wind is a theater troupe that Sam has a connection with, and they are still quite talked about. So he decided to keep an eye on them, just in case. In fact, Dean had been keeping a close eye on this troupe lately. That he had an employee who was responsible for receiving news about her. The director came on stage and introduced herself. When she calls their number, they must go up on stage and perform. They must act alone. She asked the first number to come out, but the girl under that number began to tremble and said that she would not go. The girl said that she didn't want to go without her mother and that she was scared, and the director called the first number again. Then the girl's mother said to her daughter, she said she wanted to be like Sam. Was she really going to give up? But the girl screamed, who said that she wants to be like Sam. It was her mother who decided so. Dad too. She said that she didn't want to do it. Then Dad picked up his daughter and they quickly ran away. The director said a little awkwardly that if that was the case, she would ask child number 2 to come on stage. But the boy said that if she didn't have to do it, then he didn't want to either. And he ran out of the theater. The assistant director said candidate number 3 ran away with candidate number 2. Then she said, "It seems like there are a lot of kids who take other roles seriously. After all, young actors who try hard don't want to be noticed only by their voice. So in the end, only this actor remains." Then she called candidate number 11 to come on stage. Sammy was more than happy to come on stage. The The man asked her what she thought about the script revision. It was the first time she had seen a child actor behave like that. It seemed as if he was not a man at all, as if a real blue dragon had taken on human form and descended upon them. A level of believability that even a great game can't achieve. It's so realistic. So, now that we have an actor who can convincingly portray a real dragon, it would be too wasteful to use it just for voice acting, the other guys agreed. The headmistress said that an actor of his caliber would not choose a role based on its size or significance. She thinks Sam likes the current script. There's a chance he'll back out if they rush the plot. Moreover, he is confident that he will be able to win the public's attention, regardless of the time and the role he chooses. The man said no matter how much he thought about it, being a member of the theater community, he still considered it a waste of talent. In any case, he knows that the actor Sam will use a stage name. Sam is trying to hide his identity, the guy said. The headmistress asked if he had already made a decision about approving Sam for the role. Everyone agreed, and the headmistress suggested keeping Sam a secret. At home, Min asked Sammy how the audition went. Sammy replied that there was a child who cried the whole time. Haley thought, it's been a while since she's seen Sammy so depressed. Dean told her that something happened at the audition today that could upset him. He asks to be comforted properly. Haley thought about how he could support him. Sammy said sullenly, the crying child's mother said, she said she wanted to be like Sam, didn't she? And then through tears, she answered that when she said that she wanted to be like this, it was not her desire. Min said she didn't say that because she hated Sammy. She just didn't like the situation she found herself in. Maybe she was angry because her parents forced her to do something she didn't like. Sammy replied, he knows. He knows. They just mentioned him as an example of a famous child actor. He was worried that he had been part of this child's misfortunes, and that similar incidents might happen to other children in the future. Sammy was worried, but suddenly Haley called Sammy and held out her arms. Sammy ran into her arms. Haley hugged her son tightly and said that it seemed like her son was having a really bad day today. Sammy does like acting. Sammy said yes, very much. Then Haley said, you see, the more famous Sammy becomes, the more people will be affected in one way or another. There's nothing he can do to solve all their problems, Min said. So when he's in trouble or pain, let him think about those people who love him. Because making these people happy is truly amazing. Sammy is very lucky to have such loving and supportive parents. Sammy immediately felt relieved. Min asked if it was okay for Sam to only do voice acting. He thought Sammy wanted to act in front of people. Sammy replied that everything was fine. Voice acting was also part of acting, and he was playing a blue dragon. He doesn't get the chance to play monsters very often, and he thinks it would be a lot of fun. The theater, the parents of the actors' children began to greet each other. One of them asked, did they see the article that came out on the first day of rehearsals? Her family immediately printed it out and added it to her album. She heard that the same boy who plays the blue dragon will definitely come today. He won't run away because he doesn't want to play this role, asked Mom. The others answered, of course not. Dean asked why Sam was so nervous. Wanted some water? Sam replied, yes. It was because he had never met so many child actors before. Sammy thought he knew that not everyone liked him, and he knew that bad things could happen. But since they all enjoy acting, he hopes that they can come up with good and interesting results. This may be cheating, of course, but is it worth it for him to win their favor a little with the help of elf breath? The headmistress said she would introduce the actor playing the role of the blue dragon who was unable to attend the last rehearsal. She suggested that they applaud him. Then Sammy entered the hall, and everyone immediately recognized him. Sammy said hello and said his name was Sam, and he would be playing the blue dragon. Earlier, the headmistress said that regarding actor Sam, they urge everyone to maintain strict confidentiality. The girl said that by telling about him, they would create a stir around their production. If actor Sam is found attending rehearsals, he will likely be forced to leave the cast, the headmistress said. Plus, by revealing his identity during one of the performances, they would have to replace Sam with another actor for subsequent appearances. This was a condition put forward by his agency, so he hoped for their understanding. She left, and the girls started talking. Isn't it too selfish, such a possibility for the project to become a hit? The problem is clearly not with the child, it is with the adults. Suddenly, someone said that perhaps it would be better to reveal this after the production was completed. What if Sam leaves during the rehearsal period? This work will not even be included in his filmography. But if he leaves in the middle of a production, rumors will surely spread, and public criticism will fall not only on the child and his parents, but also on the academy. They'll say they only contacted Sam for publicity, which is something reporters might write. Reporters cover everything that has anything to do with him. But what if actor Sam leaves the troupe because of someone else's egoism? Regardless of the truth, rumors will spread by word of mouth, so information about him should not leak out in any way. But if everyone keeps the secret and the production goes off without incident, then they can brag as much as they want after that. If they leave a good impression, Child actors will also get the opportunity to appear in films and dramas. Then all the staff calmed down and began to say, of course, all this is possible only if the secret is kept until the end of the production. The girl wrote to Dean, mission accomplished. Dean thanked her, Dean thought. It's a good thing they assigned it to one of their employees just in case. Sammy came back. And he said everyone was doing well. The rehearsals were divided by scenes, so unless it was a group rehearsal, they wouldn't overlap with each other very often. Dean said, and since Sam comes out last, the actor who comes out with him is, Sam replied, the main character. 2 weeks later, group rehearsals begin today, the headmistress told the children. If they're done with the pizza, let them come on stage and see how the kids have prepared over the past 2 weeks. First of all, let them remember the movements, and the mentors will check the actors for whom they are responsible. Sammy asked if this was his place. The guy replied yes, but this was a temporary decoration. The headmistress said Sam could stand behind him and speak into the microphone, and the blue dragon would appear on the screen behind him. You can spy on what's happening through the hole. It's important that he sees solely and calculates the time correctly. The rehearsal began. The headmistress said to continue playing until the very end, even if they made a mistake with the line or timing. Light, sounds, decorations. Everything is close to what will happen at the performance. So you should remember today's feelings. Soli is the main character. I thought the instructions for the scenes were written in the script. Now they will come to life. The game began, Soli said. Her little brother fainted. Help. But the boy said he had no extra food to share, especially now that the harvest was so poor. The girl fell and said that it was all because of the drought. She should go to the dragon and beg him to fulfill her wish. To break the drought and make it rain, Sammy watched the game. Then the headmistress said it was his turn. Sammy walked out and thought, he couldn't use his powers in that spacious rehearsal room. But now, hidden in the shadows of the props, he can use his abilities to the fullest. Sammy activated the skill ability of the blue dragon cub. Depending on the strength of the descendant, he partially acquires the physical traits and aura of the blue dragon. The employee asked if they had added some new mechanism or device, and she felt uneasy. As if a real blue dragon had appeared on the stage, Sammy started talking about what a noisy child. The rehearsal ended and the kids surrounded Sammy, saying they felt like they were actually praying to the dragon. The man said that maybe at least the surveillance cameras would show what an oversight there was. The guy asked how about improving the quality of the scenery, making it more realistic. For example, if they gave the blue dragon a little more volume, it would be much better. The man asked if there was still enough time before the performance to redo the decor. The headmistress said that everything always comes down to the budget. That's the problem. The man said that you don't have to worry about that. The man came to Sammy and said that musicals and plays are often recorded on video for later sale. Moreover, for those who couldn't come to the performance, watching the game on DVD is the only option. Sammy thought, well, it's really sad if the show can only be seen once. Then he asked if the other actors agreed to it. The man replied, everyone gave permission, Sammy said. In that case, he would agree too. Dean said that the company would then contact him regarding the terms and details. The man replied that he would wait. They needed a stage name to put in the booklet and asked him if he had any ideas for a stage name. Sammy replied, yes, there is, and said he is choosing the name Jin. The man thought for a bit. And I realized that this is the name of the character Sammy from the movie Shadow Man 2. And there Sammy plays the villain. Sammy, pleased with his prank, began to laugh and asked, did he understand? Yes, the man thought. Of course, then millions of other people will guess. The children said the stage had become more luxurious, and it was easier to make an impression in this situation. But when it comes to feelings, it's not just the scene that influences the viewer, Soli asked. Sammy said. The boy asked if he was really that good. Could such an atmosphere be achieved with just his voice? Soli said as she thought, only with acting skills like that one gets into Hollywood, he is actually great. Although she knows that it's all just a game, sometimes she catches herself thinking that her desire is sincere. The headmistress came and asked if everyone was ready for the rehearsal. The boy said he wanted to make a wish. It's not fair, if only Soli can. Then the other kids said they wanted to make a wish. The headmistress thought it was true that Soli's skills had improved after practicing with Sam, and perhaps the other children had noticed too. If they get experience with him as a blue dragon, it will definitely have a positive effect on their other performances as well. Then the headmistress said, okay, they'll try it at this rehearsal. The children were happy. The parents said that children can be understood, sometimes watching them. She is overwhelmed with emotions from the atmosphere around the blue dragon. She thinks, or they think, that if they make a wish, it will come true. So cute. Children are definitely prone to fantasizing, to be honest. She also makes a wish with Soli during rehearsal. The guy asked his friend, they are high school students. A children's play is too much. Why watch it? The friend replied, what else can he do? This is the only production he can see at the school's expense. And he himself said that he doesn't want to pay for anything else. The guy said, it doesn't bother him, even if it's just homework during the holidays. What does it matter to them if they watch the show and write a review of it? The guy asked why there were so many people there. It's just a children's production? Maybe it's all the actors' families? Well, that's better than if only they were watching it. Grandma said. It's Sammy, Haley said. Yes, it's him, Grandma said, without even showing her face. Her grandson remains the coolest. Grandpa said. But there are a lot more spectators here than he expected, Min said. They are from the acting school. Probably rumors about Sammy's participation spread among acquaintances. Fortunately, there are no reporters and tabloids here. This condition was fulfilled as required. An announcement was made over the loudspeaker that the spring production would soon begin, and all spectators were asked to take their seats according to their tickets. Soli said the hall was packed. All the children gathered and wished each other good luck before the performance. The headmistress thought that no one was nervous. They seemed to know that the scene they had created together would be truly wonderful. After the performance, everyone ran to the souvenirs. The children wanted to buy a blue dragon ball. The man said, "This is a success. This is how it should be. The blue dragon has appeared. Of course, this should be a hit." The kids ran to Sammy and everyone said the performance was amazing. They applauded. But it's still a bit of a shame. At the beginning, the audience hardly reacted. Maybe they just couldn't concentrate. Or maybe because Sam didn't come out at the very beginning? Then it's worth changing the order. The headmistress said that, like actors on stage, they probably perceive everything differently. But so be it. She will think about it. But they understand that they can't just pull something like this off in other productions. The boys were talking about why he suggested going to see a children's play. That boy said, "This is the last performance. They have a chance to see the masterpiece again. He's seen it before, but each time the content is a little different, and you can also buy souvenirs." The performance began, and Soli said she had a wish and called the blue dragon. The dragon shouted to be quiet. He was already upset about the loss of his Chintamani, and now he was woken up. He will not fulfill the wish, although if she brought it to Chintamani, he will think about it. The girl said she found him. The blue dragon asked if it was really him. She brought him. Such a little one. As a reward, he will grant her a wish. What does she want? Soli answered. Even the children from the audience said what they want. The schoolboy thought, seriously, what's wrong with these kids? But then his friends also shouted, they want to pass the college entrance exam with flying colors. The blue dragon asked. Well, does anyone else have any wishes? People said. He doesn't want to go to prep school tomorrow. She wants to make peace with her friend, and he wants the baby to behave well, and everyone makes a wish from the bottom of their hearts. The schoolboy was impressed and thought these were just Chintamani toys, but they were all asking so sincerely. The blue dragon asked, what about the child? The girl replied that she was asking to let the rain fall from the sky. Then the blue dragon said, okay, he will fulfill every wish that he just heard. Sammy thought that today's performance would be his last in this role, so just a little longer. He wanted to become a great dragon guardian like his grandfather for just a little while. The dragon said that the child's kind heart had returned the Chintamani to him, so this was just a small reward. The baby dragon, who dreamed of becoming a guardian even if it was just on stage, thinks that the dream still came true. The performance ended. The children came out on stage all together and held hands. The audience shouted that the children were great. The schoolboy shouted, Jin wants to see him in the next show. Sammy was delighted, and the children bowed. After the eviction, the children happily hugged and shouted, this is really the end, they tried hard. Sammy thought that when he returned, he should visit the Library of Life every time he played. There is a feeling that the baby is growing up a little. Maybe it was not just his fantasy. The staff said that it didn't seem to them that the blue dragon was actually moving during the performance. It's strange, more than one person said they saw movement, but on the recording it looks normal. Maybe it was all an illusion, the headmistress said. Maybe it was all real, and they were witnessing a miracle.